What we do here is go back.
And hopefully we're live. Everything seems to be working, I hope. Possibly. Good evening, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews Now too. It is Saturday, the 15th of February 2025. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic weekend, and thanks for taking time out of that weekend to join us here live at Mike's Unboxing. Tonight we're going to go through, take a look at a new case, well, newish case from Antec, the C3, which was kindly donated by the legend that is Colin Hilton. Thank you very much, Colin. Obviously, for those of you that have been regular, long-time viewers, you'll know the difficulties that we've had with Antec trying to get hold of review samples. Maybe I know why they didn't want me to do one, but anyway, we'll go through that as we take a look later. Also, got some bargains this week as well, which we'll take a look at. Got some coolers, got a bunch of RAM, got some cooling fans, and also got a nice little RGB hub, all of which very, very inexpensive. No links in the video description at the moment, but I'll try and do that at some point, either tomorrow or whenever. They'll be in the Discord sooner or later, or obviously when the videos come out for them themselves, you can get them. There are going to be some discount codes coming up very shortly for AliExpress. That is going to be in, I believe it's 2 days time, so Monday-ish. Not too sure what the time scale is, but Monday straight Tuesday. So as soon as the deals go live and the vouchers are active, I'll post the link so you can get the best possible prices. There you go. There's the intro. Happy days. Everything appears to be working. Actually, is it working? Can someone let me know? Is it working? And the remote's working. And we got some super chats in, I think. Judging by the lights, which Kath has just illuminated, that means something. So there we go. Rick H. Thank you very much, Rick. $2 there. It says disco, disco, disco. Thank you very much for the kind donation. Much appreciated. Let's give that a little heart there and a like. Thank you. And also, our Portier has also become a supporter. Thank you for us helping support what we do here. Much appreciated. You'll now get early access to some of the videos. You won't get any extra content, but you do get earlier access. That's something we've always tried to not want to do. Whether we do in the future, I don't know, but we've never paywalled any of our content. So every video we make, everybody gets to see at some point or other. So hopefully it's appreciated. I know it would be nice for some people if you're paying a little bit extra every month to get some extra content, but I don't know, it just seems a little bit weird. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe we will do some pay-per-view content, strictly above board stuff, obviously. But if that's something you're interested in, let us know. If enough people want it and enough people don't dislike it, then maybe we might consider doing that. You never know. So thank you all very much. Craig Lynn is in the house as well. He's been a member for 34 months. Coming in there with a super sticker. This is howdy Mike and all in chat. How you doing, Craig? Good to see you or hear you or know you're watching. Oh dear, the brain is foggy as hell today. For dinner today, I had Greg's sausage rolls. For tea tonight, I had Greg's sausage rolls. So I am Greg's sausage rolls up to here. It's probably not the ideal thing if you're trying to do a live stream and trying to keep energy levels up, but I've got some fat to burn, so let's see how it goes. Hopefully you're all doing well, and yeah, hopefully you can all hear me and see me. Mark Gaines says everything is good, thank you. Nick Barnes says all perfect, Mike. Excellent stuff. Let's make sure the overhead camera is also working. I think it is, I did check it earlier. You'll notice the Mike's Unboxing desk pad mouse mat is back on the desk. Don't forget, if you want to pick up one of those, you can head over to our good friends at Technically Stable and you can order a mouse pad. And if you use the discount code Mike, you'll get even better discount, get 10% off the shipping, 10% off of the price, and also you get to choose your own style of mat. So you don't have to have a Mike's Unboxing one, you can have something completely different. You can have a picture of a cat, you can have our cat if you want. Dave, what are you doing? Go away. Bless him. Anyway, there you go. That's enough shilling. Actually, we'll do some more shilling in the chat. If you're interested in possibly picking up a license key for your Windows 10 or Windows 11 devices, you can head over to premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing. I know, but it's on the thing. They can see it. They can see the stuff.
You're staring at the camera and talking.
I am staring at the camera. I can't look at the camera because Dave's head's right in front of it. Dave. Seriously.
Dave.
We're gonna have to get you a Royal Mail bag to sleep on. Can you get him a Royal Mail bag to sleep on, please, Gav? Excuse me. Bring back the fluffster. He's there. There you go. Look at that Amazon box, or Amazon. Has I got the address on? No, it's all good. Oh, well done. There you go.
No, Dave.
Something to make use of, Dave.
You gonna sleep on there?
Feel free to scratch it and get your claws all in that cardboard. It's better than doing it all over the desk.
Face shot, that was, Dave.
Oh. There he goes. He's going down like the Titanic. There you go. Good one. Anyway, bless him. Dave for channel mascot. I am hoping, or this has been something I've wanted to do for a long time, with these mouse pads and desk pads. I've wanted to do like a Mike's unboxing collection and do one of like all the cats. So you can choose which cat of ours is your favourite. Then you can have one of our cats on your mouse mat. I don't know. Some people might like that. I don't know. You might. You never know. Nick Barnes says, thanks Mike for trial, but rather watch when released on YouTube as too complicated for me. No worries. Peripheral Dave is still Dave. He is. Make words. Oh yeah, Linux Mint logo. Good stuff. Excellent. So yeah, everything is... everything's good. Everything seems to be working. That's a good sign. Nice to see some of you here. I know there's a lot of things going on. Some of you may be going out for belated Valentine's meals and all that kind of stuff. And if you are a single person and you didn't have any Valentine's, well, maybe go to the fridge and grab yourself another snack and treat yourself, or another drink, another beer, whatever you want to do. And for those of you that have got others, significant others, and you bought stuff for, hopefully you've had a great weekend, and long may it continue. Funnily enough, Kath and I, it is our wedding anniversary coming up very, very shortly. We decided to get married on the 19th of February. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 19th of February. I joke. Purely for the reason, well, the two reasons at the time. One was the tax break from the Labour government. So we got more money in the bank because we didn't have such a high tax code. And also we thought it would be great because we'll get all the leftover bargains from Valentine's Day for the wedding. So, you know us, good old yellow and orange sticker couple.
And I had to take my holiday from work before the end of February.
And Kath had a deadline with NatWest. She had to take some holiday before it expired at the end of February. So we thought we'd just make the best of all of these things and get hitched. You know how it is. All of that was...
booked it all secretly.
We did it all secretly, yeah. That was 29 years ago. That makes me feel rather old, being that our eldest child is 26. That's a thing then.
Birthday.
Only just had it. Yeah, but because his birthday's so close to the new year, I get confused. Oh dear, anyway. So, there we go. Worked out well. Mike's Unboxing Collection on your mouse mat. A collage of your favourite video thumbnails. Funnily enough, you should mention that, Arali. I was going to make a public announcement. So for any potential artists or graphic designers or anything like that, please stop sending me emails asking if I want thumbnails done or my videos edited. Yes, I know they're rubbish. I understand that fully, but I can't afford to employ someone. So please stop sending me the emails. I get a ridiculous amount of emails every single day saying, would you like me to, I am from somewhere or other, and would you like me to do your thumbnails for you? Here's some examples of ones I've already done. It's like, no, well, I do. I would love you to do it. Can you do it for free? If you do it for free, happy days. Welcome, come on board. But if you want money, no. The answer is definitely no. If I could pay someone to do them and it would be good, I would have done it already if I could afford it, but I can't. So I don't. Anyway, there we go. Fred says he's been married for 5 years this year. Congratulations, Fred. What's 5 years? That's paper, isn't it?
No,
that
that's
paper?
1 year.
Oh, it's like 1 year.
I don't know them off by heart.
5 years probably like stone or something, isn't it? Or soap.
Shall I look it up? Shall I Google that for you?
I don't know. Actually, what is the 30-year anniversary? That would be Ruby's 40, isn't it? Diamond's 50. So it's probably like emerald or something. Wood for 5.
For 5 years.
For 5 years, you have to produce wood for your wedding anniversary.
What's the other one? 30.
Ah, dear. Mick Wood's come in with a super chat there. Thank you very much for your £9.99.
Pearl.
Try again with Apple Wallet, hence odd amount. Hey,
Oh, we didn't do the...
any amount is awesome. Thank you very much. Kath's on it like Sonic. Kath has put on a little bit of weight this week, so the more super chats the better to get her ass out of the chair and up towards the light. So if you do want to help contribute to Kath's slimline physique, feel free to open your wallets and do it piecemeal. Do £1 at a time if you want to. The more the merrier. She'd hate that, but it's all good fun. It's all light-hearted.
Cheeky bugger. Pearl for 30th.
There, pearl for third. So we've got a pearl anniversary, pearl necklace anniversary. There you go. Happy days. Aletta, bless her, says, me and my carpet muncher have been together for 35 years of lesbianic bliss. God bless you. Happy days. Nick Barnes says, 5 years wood. Baseball bat? You get, if you've got someone who's got really like messed up teeth, you could get them some toothpicks. That'd be pretty fun. Or just twigs if they're that bad.
Horrible.
Ah, dearie me. I'm in a funny mood tonight. I am. I'm in a funny mood. I think it's probably because I've been sniffing label remover. Good old AF label clean. This stuff is the bomb. It really is. I like using this. If you buy anything from AliExpress, pretty much guaranteed to get sticky shit all over it. Not in the way that you're maybe thinking. It's not that good a deal, but it does come wrapped in a load of stuff, and they put like multiple labels on for like bogus UK certification, obviously the shipping labels and all that kind of stuff. And these, I think, yeah, I can pick up 2 fans and the other stick to it. So they're stuck pretty good. But that was from shipping tape. I do know that. It wasn't from any unfortunate trouser accidents. I can guarantee that. It was all good. Let's have a look.
Letters been with hers for 35 years.
Yeah, yeah. Lesbianic bliss.
So that was a year before us. Because we were 30.
Yeah, a year before us, yeah. 95 that was. Did you get married because Windows came out?
We're 29 still, aren't we? Married. But we
Oh, sorry, 35. Yeah.
For 30. We were together 5 years before we got
So that'll be, hang on, 29. So 35 years. 90. So 1990. Good year. That's the year I left school. Ah, dear. Rick says, I got married. A success? Not really. Not so much. How many years separation are you celebrating now, Rick? How many years of singleton bliss are you experiencing? Hey, look on the bright side. When it's Valentine's Day, you can go out and buy a meal for 2, and you can eat both. And have both desserts as well. There's always a plus side. Cool Cat says, Kathy is a funny dude. I can see why you married him. Hey, you can't see what's going on underneath the table. You'd be surprised. Even though it's cold. Kath's the ground. Fuck.
I got my glasses on.
She does need glasses, to be fair. Mish Tex in the house. Evening, Shaggers. How you doing, Mish? Good to see you. J Rich says, hi, Mike and Kath. Aletta, 35 years and we haven't killed each other yet. Must be love. Which is impressive, considering how many guns and types of ammunition Aletta has about the house. You would have thought that even just like over the 35 years there would be a remote accident of someone shooting someone else in the leg. David Thompson's been all alone since about 1981. All the Valentine's cake for me.
Aww.
Good stuff. I don't know how to feel about that, whether that's a great thing. You have all the cake. Being alone, we've got the internet. It's not the end of the world. Could be worse. Charles Ballard, how you doing, Charles? He says, I just heard the coffee maker bleep 5 times. Back in a few with a fresh cuppa. I could do with a fresh cuppa, although I may have a alcohol-free pina colada. I'm in that kind of mood. Arnold G says, Mike, have you ever seen Kojak? You could cosplay him. I have seen Kojak, and I never thought, after watching Kodak as a kid, that I would actually end up being said Kojak. If I put my glasses on and have a lollipop, we would be indistinguishable, although I might need a bit more of a tan, because I am fading at the moment, but you never know. Nick Barnes says, Mike, do you mean calm above decks? Above decks?
Desks.
Above desks? But
You're obsessed with
oh, for God's
You're
sake.
obsessed with your deck.
Yeah, what he said.
Oh
Dear. Our Portier said, where's it gone? Oh yeah, just a question. If you had a B450 motherboard and you have a 5800X and a 4060, do you sacrifice a lot of performance, or is it better to get a B550 motherboard? It is going to be somewhat game dependent and application dependent. It's not going to be a huge amount. The difference between the B450 and the B550 is predominantly artificial, because the B450, if I remember rightly, was potentially capable of doing PCI Express Gen 4, but they decided to nerf it so it couldn't. So the difference between it isn't going to be huge. Realistically, you're probably looking at, I would argue, anywhere between 0 and maybe 10% performance drop overall, which possibly 10% might be a bit much. For you personally, realistically, I think, as it is with most games these days and most computers and most processors and most graphics cards, unless you actually put them side by side and run benchmarks, you wouldn't know. But if you run a benchmark, then you can see the real differences. Which is a shame that the PC industry has got to that point where basically almost anything from the last 5 years, if you put them side by side within a reasonable price range, you probably wouldn't notice the difference at all. Which is very sad, I think, personally. But there you go. That's where we are. No, you shouldn't be having too much problems with that. Realistically, you probably won't be noticing it at all. Telly Savalas' paycheck was bigger. I would hope so. David Thompson says the internet doesn't answer back or tell me off as much as the X. She ran off with one of my friends and turned into her mother, lol. Hyacinth Bouquet, a lucky escape for me. See? It was a good thing. The good Lord and little baby Jesus were looking down on you and thinking, how can we get him out of this? I know. Send in the best friend. Tried and tested classic. Mick Wood says, I have a couple of bottles of Doombar. Definitely alcoholic. Oh, I used to love Doombar. I used to love Doombar in the summer months when it's really, really hot out. Get a nice ice cold Doombar out of the fridge. Excellent. And then have a little snooze after in the garden. Fantastic. I don't know how I used to get so suntanned.
Little.
Sam Luce says, Mike, how are you? I am in very good spirits, thank you very much. Thanks for asking. I am one of those people, I do suffer from, I don't know if it's like a bipolar thing or whether it's seasonal affective or whether it's just the year, the way the things are. But I do tend to be up and down, and fortunately today I am up.
Stepped on a track.
Yeah.
And you're manic.
I am, yeah, I'm in my manic phase at the moment. I'll drop, hopefully it'll last through to at least Monday or Tuesday. That'd be great. If I'm in the shop tomorrow and I'm in my manic form, I'm going to drive Luke crazy, and customers, I will entertain them. I won't necessarily give them the right parts, but I will entertain them, that's for sure. I do love doing that, because Luke just like...
Just to wear your trousers.
Yeah, Luke just kind of, you can see him just visibly backing off when I start. I can't help it, it's just me, it's the way I am. Cool Cat says, Mike, good idea for next Halloween. Christ, next Halloween? We haven't even had spring or summer yet. Give me a break, that's autumn. He says, get Dave a little rubber bold cap and play Dr. Evil with Dave as Mini-Me. That would be freaking awesome. Dave, you could be Mini-Me with your bald cap on. Oh, I do like the idea of that. Stephen Anderson says, I have big problems on YouTube, big freezes, and sometimes the driver takes time out. It's annoying. I think a lot of people are having problems these days. I noticed on Chrome specifically, every now and then I will get a very, very brief millisecond of a black screen. And it's almost to the point of like, did that really happen? You know, like kind of out of the corner of your eye type thing. I'm sure there's like a little black screen inserted. And every now and then, like on something like Facebook, if you're going on Facebook Marketplace to look for things, you click on the advert and then you're supposed to see an image, but you get like a black placeholder where it's waiting to load. I don't know if it's because I've changed my DNS settings recently. I've changed my DNS settings to filter out malware and all that kind of stuff, spyware, etc., viruses. So all of my internet requests are probably going to be taking slightly longer because they're obviously checking the pages against whitelisted pages, blacklisted pages, etc., etc. But so far it's been okay, and I've not noticed any weird pop-ups, so that is obviously definitely a good thing going forward.
Charles Ballard has summed up the stream so far.
What's that nonsense?
Read it.
Charles Ballard, I can't see it, where is it?
At R. Wolfman, because he asked what's he's missed. David
sleeping on a fold-up Amazon box at the lower left. Mike looks like Kojak, and the topic of the day is rug munching. And go! Rug munching. We only mentioned rug munching once or twice. I find lesbionics quite interesting. It's a fascinating topic. They should make more videos on it. Mishtek, do you think the PC hardware industry is dying? It feels so bleak. The PC industry market has died. I don't know about dying. It is dead, buried. It's fooked. Yeah, it's knackered. The PC industry is... I've been saying this for a long, long time, and it's been gradually getting more and more meh. It's, I think, unless the RX 9070 and 9070 XT, unless they are absolutely spectacular and spectacular prices, I think it's game over for the year. Again, much like it was last year. It's very, very unexciting. I've now switched gears entirely. I was at this point, I don't know why, I think I was getting into like, I must have been falling for my own YouTube hype and all the nonsense that you see online. But I was getting to the point of like, oh my god, 4080s, 4090s, and like, oh my god, 50 series, and all the latest and greatest processors, the 9800X3D, the B850 chips, B870 chipsets, and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, this is great, oh yeah, really looking forward to this stuff. And then it comes out and it's like, okay, so it's just freaking expensive and not actually that much better. So probably better off just keeping the old stuff. Hence why I'm getting back into the cheaper stuff.
Arnold's off.
Because I love it. It's good. Who is?
Arnold.
Cheers, Arnold. Shower time, then take the daughter out. What? Take her out? Hope it goes well. The showering as well. Got to be careful at our age. Chris Harford says, I don't know what Corsair are up to, but their share price shot up this week. That's interesting. Didn't they just buy a sim racing company? Has that not just been approved, I believe? I think that was waiting shareholder approval or something. Might be regarding that. Who knows? Or maybe we'll finally get to see the new 4000D frame PC case review from Gamers Nexus, and it turns out it's the best thing since sliced eggs. We never know. Let's have a look. Ashley says, my hope is Intel pulls something amazing out that upsets the industry with gods. But recently that hope has been burned. I know. I've actually still got a Intel, can't remember what socket it is now, Arrow Lake socket, LGA 1851 PC built, which I was in the middle of testing, and is in the bedroom. The cats have been using the box and the PC as basically a climbing frame to get in the window. I have no interest at all. It's very sad. I was hoping that Intel were going to release the patches and Windows was going to be updated so that the processor really got the kick in the nuts that it needed to kind of be competitive and compete, or even better, the AMD processors, but sadly that appears to not be the case, so I've kind of lost a little bit of interest there. But I am going to revisit it because I think the more budget-minded Intel Arrow Lake processors, the 245K and the 245 are actually pretty decent processors on spec, but they still need to get the pricing right, and also you need to find some cheaper motherboards, which is going to be the problem there. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, Mish says, oh my god, 4000D frame case is shite, had one at work. Excellent. Stephen Anderson says, Firefox uses Cloudflare. I have confidence in it. Yeah, I'm using Cloudflare. The 9.9.9.9 is my DNS, I think, and 1.1.1.2. I think that is my primary and secondary DNS currently. Which previously I was using, was it 888 or 444, and possibly the ISP zone. But the ISP zone is always one you should want to avoid, really, because especially if you're with Virgin Media, because they just obviously look at what you're doing and go, oh great, data to sell, thank you very much. So yeah, you want to get rid of those. Stephen Owen says quantum computing around the corner, possibly, but I don't think it's going to make really any difference to normal people. Like for certain tasks and for kind of working out problems, in theory it should be great, but its practical usage as a desktop, probably not so much. We'll see. Right, okay, let's get on with, I've just done that. Sorry, Cass disrupted my train of thought there.
Let's get on with. Oh, are you stroking Dave with your tail flame?
Oh, there's something else I had to grab from under here, I think. Where do I put it? I was sent something, and this week's been a bit chaotic, and I've got various bits and pieces put in places to keep out of the way of the cats, but I don't think I've always put them in the right places.
Is that there?
Huh?
Is that there?
What there?
Yeah, above.
Got one there. No, it's the Wi-Fi card from Andy Archer.
In a green box.
No, that's the RGB controller. Where the hell did I put that? I'm sure I put it up here to keep it safe.
You haven't seen Candy on a Sunday, she gets up there.
Yeah. Bear with a second, I'm looking for a box. It's here somewhere. It's quite a cool little box. Well, the box itself isn't really interesting, but what's inside it, it actually is. Oh, there it is, I think. Is that it? No, that's a riser cable. That's not what I was looking for. Why do I do this? I'll have to go through every single box. Oh, hang on, is that it? I know, piece, that's an Express Wires card. I can't remember what the packaging even looked like. Is that it? Tracked signature, Mike Church. No, that's an Asus fan. I've got all these crazy little boxes knocking around here. Hang on, I'm going to stand on my chair, which is a chair on casters. So this is probably not the best of ideas, to be fair. Ooh, DJI batteries. Ah, there we go. Got it. I knew it was here somewhere. It was a green box. Right, we'll start off with this. So this is actually very cool. Andy Archer, bless him, sent this through. This is a Wi-Fi 7 USB wireless adapter. Now, Wi-Fi 7 isn't very widely adopted at the moment, mostly because it's been expensive. But this is a reasonably priced USB adapter. It supports the BE6500 protocol, so Wi-Fi 7. Basically, we've gone away from like AX and all those types of things now. So you had A, B, N, F, G. What else? AX, yeah, basically. We're now on BE, so that is the latest Wi-Fi spec. But what I like about this specifically is, well, it's quite compact, so you can put it somewhere and it's not going to be too intrusive in your bag or carry bag or whatever. But what I love about this is the antenna. This does something very cool. So if we open the sides there, it opens up to make its own antenna, which I think is absolutely fabulous. I really do. That's a really good idea. So you can obviously modify your antennas however you want to. And of course, being USB, you don't have to plug it straight into the side of your PC or laptop. You can plug it into an extension cable and have it kind of routed somewhere else so it gets a better signal. But yeah, I think that's very cool. There's a little LED on there to show you the operating status. And also there's a WPS button on there as well. So you can connect via the wireless protected setup method, which isn't always the best, but you never know. Also it's driver free as well. So it doesn't need any drivers. You can just plug it into basically pretty much any PC and it should work by itself. So that is excellent. Andy sent this over because I had a Wi-Fi 7 router a while back that I was reviewing. But unfortunately, due to some issues that I was having with it, I had to send it back to MSI. And that review was actually cancelled. So I no longer have a Wi-Fi 7 router available for some kind of more thorough testing. But certainly, I am going to try and test it to the best of my ability with what I've got here. And I might actually try and do some kind of peer-to-peer networking with other Wi-Fi 7 devices and see how that goes. Never been a great fan of doing the peer-to-peer networking. It was never very good back in the day. And I can't imagine it's got any easier or better, but certainly I think we'll try it. I don't know whether you'll be able to do that. You have to create an access point. Maybe create an access point to a phone. New iPhone has Wi-Fi 7. I wonder if I could create an access point to... No. Anyway, I'm dreaming. Anyway, thanks Andy, much appreciated. What else have we got? Also, on the theme of networking, this is something which everybody should have in their toolbox. This is a really useful thing.
Before you go any further,
yeah.
Greg 2409A said you should do a few shows on stuff like that. And Nick Warren said, what is peer-to-peer?
Right, peer-to-peer networking is where you don't have a hub or a router as such, or something which is handling out the DHCP or the IP addresses for your systems. So in a peer-to-peer networking environment, you would manually go in and set your network adapter, such as one of these or a wireless device, and you'd set it to like a manual range, so 192.168.10.1, and then you'd go onto the other one and set it to like 10.2 or something, and they'd all be on the same subnet. So they'll basically be transferring directly between themselves. Normally for Ethernet, you would use a twisted pair cable. So rather than plugging into a switch or a hub, you'd have one cable going from one PC into the other. There'll be a twisted pair cable wired differently, so they would be able to talk to each other directly, but they wouldn't be able to talk to anything else outside of that. So that is what peer-to-peer network is. Literally, it's like if you're using Steam, for instance, and you've got Steam on a couple of computers in the same house, that will use peer-to-peer networking to quickly upload your game files if there's a newer game file on another PC in the same network, like the game sharing, that sort of thing. So that's basically roughly how peer-to-peer networking works. Hopefully that makes some sense. It's tricky to set up, doesn't always work. Yeah, it's not ideal, but we might have to do that. Back to this. So this is a very simple device. This is less than £5, USB 3 on one end, gigabit Ethernet on the other, and it uses just a really, really basic Realtek chipset, which basically kind of every PC from like Windows XP upwards will recognize this straight away. No drivers, no faff, just plug it in and it will load up. Now the reason I've got this is because I'm going to be doing some videos on how to do bare bone restorations from Synology NAS, which basically means if, say for instance, this PC behind me, the hard drive or the SSD completely explodes and obliterates itself, or it gets malware or whatever, and I just want to take it out of the machine, throw it in the bin, I can actually recover my system exactly the same as it was prior to the incident as what they call a bare metal installation. So new drive, plug this in, run the Synology setup disk, and it will basically use this adapter to talk to my Synology, retrieve a previous image of the disk, and put it back onto the PC. So if you're like in a business environment, you could go into someone's computer, physically remove their hard drive, put a new hard drive in, use this, connect up to the Synology, put all the files back, and basically they would go in the next day and they wouldn't even know that it's been done. It would be an exact one-for-one copy of basically how they left it. So it's a very cool thing to have. with a lot of modern PCs these days, we've got the 2.5 gig, we've got the 5 gigabit, some got 10 gigabit Ethernet connections, or you've got like your Wi-Fi 7s or your Wi-Fi 6s. And quite often you'll find that Windows doesn't have the drivers for it built in. And the same goes for anything which runs in the kind of Windows PE operating system. It's a very basic minimal driver set. So having something which is compatible straight out of the box is very handy to have. I've actually found that once or twice with my own PC, where I've done a bare metal restoration, just because I put a new drive in. I thought, well, I'll just start again. I've ended up unplugging Kath's network card, which is actually a USB one, on her computer, and like robbing it for a few minutes, doing that and then putting it back. So I thought I'll get one of my own. These are normally about 10 quid, but they're actually on offer at the moment from Amazon for $4.99. So I think it's yeah, it's a crazy deal, worth having one in your toolbox. So there we go. That is that. Very handy. Would be good. You can possibly get an adapter with these as well. Someone just said there in the chat. You can actually get an adapter for these to run them from some mobile phones. So if you are a little bit concerned about maybe Wi-Fi or 4G, 5G technology, when you're maybe using your phone next to your bed, when you're watching movies at night or listening to podcasts at night, you don't want to be relying on that sort of technology. You want to rely on wired technology. You can adapt these to fit in the majority of modern phones. So yeah, that's another beneficial thing of having them. They're just a handy thing to have around. And also for diagnostics, if you've got a PC which is playing up on the network and is like dropping out or whatever, you can just plug that in on a USB, switch your cable over and see if it improves. If it doesn't, obviously the problem lies elsewhere, but otherwise it could be a network driver or the network card itself. And breathe. Right. Actually, I'm going to get my drink very... Oh, okay then. Kath's going to get it.
You want that thing in the fridge?
Can I have my pina colada, please? Thank you. Danmar 007 says, hi everyone from snowy Canada.
Got a glass?
We're supposed to have snow at the moment and there's been absolutely feckle.
I mean, I don't even have the heating on.
Do you want some?
Days. No,
You have do you want them?
It reminds me too much of Malibu.
Orange sticker. Do excuse. What is it with plastic bottles these days? You've got the stupid things on the side of them. How dare you?
I told you that was an accident when it happened.
It is. That's going to cause me physical damage to my face. Most people probably wouldn't recognise it, but I would. There we go. Cheers, everybody. Half price pina colada. Actually, I don't think it's even half price, was it? Alcohol-free pina colada classic. A sweet, refreshing blend of pineapple juice and creamy coconut milk. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Happy Valentine's, Babs.
Goodness, that is lovely. That is really good. Happy Valentine's.
That's a gift from me.
Eh?
You can have that as a gift from me.
Even though I put it in the shopping basket.
Yeah.
And paid for it. Kind of.
And carrot it.
And carried it in. The Pina Colada song. Oh yes. I was going to go into that, but I thought I better not. Right, other bargains this week. This is going to be great. Now, obviously, you're unlikely to find bargains like this yourselves, but this was awesome. So, I've got 3 sets of RAM here. All of them the same. I think they're even the same part number, serial number, etc. Yeah, they are they're basically consecutive numbers, I think. Yes. So, one of the kind members on Discord, I won't say their name because they might not want me to say it, so I won't. One of the kind members on Discord alerted us of a potential eBay bargain, which was available, and it was for this RAM. This is Kingston Fury, this is DDR5, 6000, 30 CL30, so nice tight timings there, so it's 30, 36, 36, AMD Expo and XMP, so I can use it on both. So that's excellent. These are normally in the region of about somewhere between kind of 90 to 120 quid, depending where you're shopping and when you're shopping and what discounts and deals are available. These were listed for, I think, about £66, which was already ridiculously cheap. But they also had the option there of make an offer. So I figured, well, it looks like a bit of a sketchy listing, so I will try it. So I offered them, I think it was £50 or £52 or something, And straight away I'd noticed that there was £57 deducted from my eBay PayPal account. So the offer was accepted. So for under 60 quid, basically kind of like 100 quid's worth of RAM. Very pleased with that. So we were looking at the eBay listings. I'll quickly say that. So thank you, Fred Vandermeulen has sent us $3.99 as a PayPal donation. Thank you very much. PayPal donations are awesome because although we still pay tax on them, we don't have to pay a handling fee as such for YouTube, which is normally about 30% or so. So if you want to send a donation, you want us to get the most out of it, you can do it via either Patreon or you can do it via PayPal, and we very much appreciate it. Links are in the video description. If you want to, no pressure, not hassling you. If you want to, it's great. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine as well. Thank you very much, Fred. Much appreciated. So anyway, there's the RAM. So that was on. Then they basically, within about 3 seconds of this selling, it seemed that it was relisted again. So it's like, is this a scam? Have I just been scammed out of 60 quid? Clearly I haven't, because it's here. Well, hopefully they work. So it was the same deal again. So they were listed same sort of price, but it was listed as this time, they put the list in as just Fury RAM for a laptop. It was like, well, the picture looks like exactly the same as what I just bought. So either this is like a very elaborate scam where they're just chucking descriptions in, or it's legit. So I did the same thing again. And I put the price a little bit lower, I think it was. So again, around about just under £60 all in with the eBay fees, etc. And those both turned up within a couple of days. Later on that day, there was yet another listing for exactly the same RAM with exactly the same picture and exactly the same description. It's like, come on, I got to give this a go. But this time, this kit was listed at £75. So I think I offered something like 56 or something, or 57. And again, it was accepted immediately. So it was bizarre. So I managed to get 3 sets of RAM, which are actually pretty decent RAM as well, for kind of like 60 quid each. So I've got 96 gigs of RAM for what, 180 quid, which I think was phenomenal. So that is excellent. These deals don't come along very often. The person who posted the deal said they would have loved to have got them of their own, but they've already just bought a bunch of RAM. So I figured, well, I'll take a risk and see what happens. And sometimes taking that risk does pay off. So hopefully now when I do next couple of builds for PCs that we sell on to local people, that we will then be able to pass on the savings and save them about 40 quid on the RAM. So don't worry, I'm not scalping. There is a plan for this. It basically helps us to get rid of systems because we can sell them cheaper than you can buy them or build them, which obviously helps us because it clears space, clears inventory, so we can then go on and buy more stuff and the cycle continues. So yeah, that was freaking awesome. So thank you to the Discord member who will be not named. Yes, Kath?
Can you show Charles Ballard the label on that drink?
Yeah.
He thinks this one like he makes, but I think the orange bit.
What do you want to see? The ingredients?
No, I think it's the orange label.
Oh, right.
So it looks like one they have. Dave, kicking the camera around, babes.
It's got a bit of a clearance label on there. I do apologise for that. Ingredients, hopefully you can see that.
Dave, it's not for you.
But yeah, it's very nice. Quite refreshing. Oh Christ, I nearly fell off the chair.
Can I sit on my lap?
Edward Cuss says hi. Hi Mike, how's things? Been a while? Christ, yes. That's been a long time. Edward Cuss, Edward Cuss. Why do I recognise that name?
I do as well.
It was Edward. What were you on? You were in the streams and stuff and the Discord as well, weren't you? I think. But there was something else. Why do I recognise that name? Edward Cuss. Edward Cuss.
And also.
Can't think. You have to let me know.
Oh, mine's crashed.
Oh, yours is crashed, is it?
Everyone's is tonight.
Yeah. How much is my? Well, currently my live streaming is at 870 megabytes for this tab, but because I'm not typing anything in, it's all right. Excuse me.
how you pronounce that.
AYK. Oh yeah, AYK would be perfect if I gain average of 15. Oh, I didn't see the other bits. AYK, hi, do you think I should stick with my i9 11900K with DDR4 or upgrade now to a 9800 X3D and DDR5 RAM? GPU is a 4090, but I'm seeing a bottleneck at new GPU and CPU intensive games. Yes, you will see some improvement. It's not going to be massive because the 11900K is still like a really powerful processor, and you probably got lower latency with the DDR4. So, yeah, the X3D part of the processor is going to be the real thing. In actual normal use, you probably won't see, Dave. You probably won't see a huge amount of difference, but for some, Dave, get off those cables. I will flick your little
He's not
man
biting them,
bits.
He's just kissing them.
He's going to bite them.
He is biting them then. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. Davey, come sit on my lap.
Ed says, Nugget Chumper is my username on Discord, no longer going by Ed. I will explain on Discord. Okay, yeah, no worries. Edward Cass. Did Edward do PCs or build PCs?
I can't remember.
I can't remember now. That's, yeah, that was a good 3 years ago, maybe. Anyway, Kingston Fury. David Anderson says Kingston Fury RAM is good stuff. Yeah, the reason why. Well, there's two reasons why I went for this. I wasn't just being greedy. I was, but there is another reason as well. So when I first got my first DDR5 system, some of you may remember, this was the RAM I used. I think it was almost identical RAM as well. It might have been the 5600 version, but it was Kingston Fury, and that was with my B650 Tomahawk board. I had nothing but problems with that. And I couldn't ever work out whether it was the RAM, whether it was the motherboard, or whether it's just early adoption stuff. And now I know a little bit more about the platform. It'd be interesting to see if these are absolutely fine or not, whether they're still good. But another thing I wanted to do, because I know we're getting to that point now where there's going to be a lot of people with DDR5 that are thinking, right, I've got my 32 gigs of RAM, I wouldn't mind 64. So I want to do some experimentation with 4 sticks of RAM on the AM5 platform, and to see what I can achieve, what is potentially possible, any kind of tricks or workarounds to try and get 4 sticks running reliably at the rated speeds or as close as possible. So I think for a lot of people, well, not for a lot of people, but I think at the moment it's going to be an interesting thing. And as obviously time goes on, most of the videos we do, I try to have some sort of evergreen quality to them, so they'll have a bit of longevity to them. So that's the reason I want to do that, because like with DDR4, people used to do big upgrades and add more RAM, etc. And the same is going to happen with DDR5. So it'll be nice to experiment with that, see how it goes, see how much has improved from the early days of the compatibility being absolutely terrible, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's some pretty decent bargains. Another decent bargain. This is the Deepcool 400 V5. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I have to have a drink of something to clear it because it's annoying me now. I'll get some water, some Wasser. I know. I'll be lazy, I'll just get the jug.
You are so vile.
That's better. La 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 la. Yeah, perfect. Right, this is the Deepcool 400 V5, otherwise known as the AG400 in the UK and other locations. Basically, Deepcool stuff is pretty hard to get hold of these days because of, yeah, stuff. This is on AliExpress again, under the Deepcool branding, the 400 V5, and this was about £16, which I figured for £16, it's hard to go wrong with this. The AK500 I've done already, but the 400 was one that I never really got around to doing, so I thought for a cheap and cheerful ARGB cooler from a trusted brand, it'd be worth doing, and just to keep in stock or Got some builds coming up, so always nice to have one of these on hand just in case. So yeah, really good value for money. AliExpress. I ordered it, I think on the, I think it was the 10th or the 9th, and it arrived like 5 days later. So yeah, absolutely cracking. Happy days with that. Yes, Kath.
Hooves and then Arnold Albert.
Hooves says, I'm starting to get random crashes whilst gaming. Head to our Discord and hopefully someone will be able to help you with that. Random crashes in gaming, games do that these days, especially if you're on anything which is powered by the Unreal 5 engine, because it's basically rubbish. Lots of games, Elder Scrolls seems to be one which has popped up recently as being somewhat problematic for a lot of people, but put some information in the Discord and hopefully someone will be able to help you. If not, I'll have a look tomorrow. Arnold Albert's question, any thoughts on a mid-priced air cooler for Ryzen 5 7600X, Peerless Assassin 120 SE, Phantom Spirit 120 SE, Arctic Freezer 36, or other recommendations? I would probably go with the Arctic Freezer 36 if it's at a good price. Otherwise, maybe look at AliExpress for this. The Deepcool 400 V4. Search for the AG400 and this will come up. Again, under 20 quid. Can't go too far wrong. If you don't mind having a bit of a gamble and also waiting a few days for the postage to come through from our good friends over in Taiwan / China, then yeah, I think it's well worth taking a look at. Do I take it out of the box? Yeah. I'm interested to see actually how assembled this is and whether or not it comes with, yes, has got UK information. That's always a bonus. You've got the traditional Deepcool fitting kit in there, which is normally arguably excellent. So yeah, no issues there. Deepcool fan with, I believe they used to have pigtails. Yeah, pigtails for the RGB. So it's their pretty nice fan. These are quite powerful fans as well. The only thing I did notice with these fans, at the higher RPMs,
Deepcool in the US.
they can from AliExpress.
All right.
Yeah, these fans, they do have a little bit of a whine to them at the very higher RPMs due to the angling of the fans. Maybe that's changed with this particular revision, but certainly they used to, especially on the AIOs. And the tower cooler itself is pretty much standard affair with their kind of waffle style design imprinted on there, which apparently makes it better for airflow. How that works, I honestly don't know, but yeah, whatever. Nice as well that it's got the swept back design, so your fan will be on here, so you've got absolutely brilliant RAM clearance. Even if you are potentially going to be using all 4 sticks of RAM, you'll have amazing RAM clearance with this cooler. And it's also got 4 heat pipes, and I'm not sure if it had a direct touch on the bottom or whether it was yeah, direct touch heat pipes on the bottom. So some people prefer direct touch, some people don't. I'm not particularly bothered at this sort of price, but yeah, I think that's a pretty darn good value.
Greg asked on the postage fees from AliExpress that you are.
You don't really get any postage fees. It's you get like a little bit of VAT or stuff on some of it, but realistically, even with the VAT, like for this, it ran about 15 quid. You add on the VAT, which is going to be like less than £2 anyway. It's next to nothing, and it's still cheaper than what you can buy it for from Amazon in general. Other places, like, well, there's other retailers around which you can get it from. Overclockers UK, you've got a place like eBuyer, AWDIT, all of which at some point or other will have their own deals and bargains on. But I think really for AliExpress, it's just consistently cheap for whatever reason that is, whether they circumvent certain traditional sales ethics or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is.
Edward Buttle. Stuff in the chat. Up a little bit there.
Did I read it earlier though?
I don't think so.
Was it he said he's going to post in the Discord?
No, it was. I still build PCs.
Oh, still build PCs, still building it. Edward says, yeah, I still build PCs. I build them using systems people look to scrap and repair, recycle and donate to family services for hard-up families that are unable to afford them. trying to do my part and help. Yeah, that's awesome stuff.
That's a reminder to you, or not?
The fog's clearing, but not very quickly. Matthew Day says there are some bad ones on AliExpress. There is, yeah. AliExpress is no different really from eBay, other than the fact that you can't really bid on stuff. It's the same thing. So you're going to get some good sellers, you're going to get some bad sellers, and you're going to get things which, obviously, due to it being coming generally from further afield, there's more potential for it for going wrong or getting missed or damaged in the post. So it's one of those things, you pay your money, you take your choice, you can potentially save a lot of money. Like this, normally, if you're buying it in the UK, when they were available, they were around about 20 to 30 pounds, sometimes as much as 35 pounds, which it isn't worth 35 quid. But for kind of 16, 17 pounds, you could buy two. That's the kind of savings you're looking at getting. So yeah, for me it works. I've got no problems with buying from Deepcool or from AliExpress personally. You may have your own opinions on that. You're more than welcome to them. I like saving money. Next one is a brand a brand that I've not really heard of, and I'm not sure whether you lot would have either. This is from a brand called Upsiren, which sounds like some kind of Chinesium, and the manufacturer is Shenzhen Rice Bean Trading Co. Limited. So if you're into your rice beans, then yeah, this is probably going to be pretty good. This is the ARGB Hub HU8, and this is basically if you want to install a lot of RGB into your computer and you only have one RGB connection, but you want to add on lots of things and you don't want to blow stuff up, then this is exactly what you need. So a little bit of film on there to protect it. No real surprises here. I don't know if this is actually magnetic. Yes, it is very much magnetic, so that's excellent. It's also relatively slimline as well, so if you want to put this into the back of your PC and then still be able to put the panels back on, this is approximately 15 millimeters at the very most, so that's pretty cool.
Get a room, Dave.
Get a room, Dave. And this is usual stuff. So you put in your primary fan into the one with the red connector. All the others will be spinning at the same speed as that one, and also each fan's got its own ARGB. So you've got up to, I think it's 8. Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, got 8 headers there. It's SATA powered, and you don't need any cable for that. It just plugs straight into your power supply. So your power supply is going to have a SATA plug on it. Plug that straight into here. So none of those awkward cables to lose or damage. The only one which is a little bit awkward to damage and possibly miss is the one for your addressable RGB and your PWM. So those plug into your motherboard. Then you've got a single plug which plugs into the end here. So that will take your signal from your RGB software or your fan control software, send it to all of the hubs, all the ports. They will all be doing exactly the same thing. So this will show up on your PC as a single fan with 1 RPM, but all the fans will be able to work as fans, which is awesome. A lot of people always ask me and say, so when I plug one of these in, why don't I see like 8 fans or 6 fans or however many is connected? And it's because it's a splitter. So if you imagine like an HDMI splitter, you plug in an HDMI splitter, you plug in an HDMI signal, and that then will send the HDMI signal to multiple screens. Like when you go into like your PC World, your Currys, your Best Buy, etc., they've got all these displays all showing exactly the same picture, but there's only one source. So they press a remote control, they can change the screens on all of them at the same time. That's basically what this is doing. So you've got one signal going in from your motherboard, and it then distributes it to all the other devices. They can be different sizes, different shapes, different colors, whatever. Well, the actual physical items, but they will all show the same colors in RGB terms, and they will all spin at a certain RPM rate based on PWM signal. So if you've got a fan which naturally spins up to 3000 RPM, it might spin faster than one which spins to 2000 RPM because it's worked on a percentage. But anyway, this was $4.99, I think. So yeah, really handy thing to have. Stick one of these into your build cupboard or whatever, just in case you ever need one. Really handy to have. And it's a brand that I've not come across before, Upsiren, which they do quite a few bits and pieces actually. They do a lot of cooling stuff. They do thermal paste, thermal pads, the kind of the phase change materials and all that kind of stuff, and fans as well, which I thought I'll buy a bunch of fans. So this is a pack of 5. These are very sticky. The sellotape they put on this was really bad. So I got 5 fans. These came in a pack of 5, and I think that was about £17. I'm not entirely sure, but it was very cheap for what it is. So if you work it out, it's like about £3 a fan sort of thing, £4 a fan. Yeah, 4, 5, yeah, say somewhere between £3 and £4 a fan, depending on the taxes you're going to pay, depending on your country. But these are basically the same as the Jungle Leopard, the Prism Pros. And if you've seen them before, they're also very similar to obviously the Lian Li fans, the Uni fans, apart from the fact they don't join together. So you've got the hologram effect on the sides. So when you've got them mounted on your radiators or whatever on the top, you still get a nice bit of RGB lighting on the sides. Or if you're putting it in kind of that way round, you've got the RGB elements around the outside. You've got white fan, and yeah, very similar to the SL120s when they first came out from Lian Li. Obviously those were about 30 quid a fan. These are about £3 a fan, so you can have 10 times the value, but basically similar sort of performance. Now they're not going to move quite as much air, but I've used these before, absolutely fine. They look pretty nice, and for this sort of price, like 5 fans for 20 quid-ish, come on, it's pretty damn good value. So yeah, these are the Upsilon UF2 Prism 5 Pros. RPM on these, I think, is up to 1600 RPM if I remember rightly. Yeah, 800 to 1600 RPM, give or take 10%. PWM, ARGB, bearing, I think they're a hydro bearing. They put the bloody label in them over the description. Let's see if I can guess. Bendy Ink Machine says Thermalright makes similar fans, just purchased 3 of them. There's a lot of brands actually. If you go onto AliExpress and just type in Prism 5 Pro, there's about 8 or 9 different brands which all do basically the same fans for similar sort of money. But I thought this is interesting because Upsilon is one of those brands which I've not heard of before. Same as Jungle Leopard, really. They do almost the same stuff. It's probably the same company, to be fair. Where are we? Yeah, hydro bearing. They do these actually, something which is quite cool about these as well. They do sell them individually for about £3.50 each. You can get them in 4 different varieties. So you've got the white version that we've got here in the traditional fan blade style. They also do the reverse blade, and also they do them in black as well, in both the forward and reverse blade. So basically, kind of any PC can be completely kitted out with these for very little money, which is pretty cool. And I suppose I should plug them in so you can see what they're like. I will attempt to do so without destroying my PC. And what's the exchange rate looking like at the moment? So the exchange rate board in the background there, that is based on the US dollar being 100%. Currently, the Aussie dollar is 157, Canadian dollar is 141, and the British pound is 0.79 pence. So that's pretty good for us in the UK, I think.
Is that good oats?
Well, it's good if you're actually, yeah. If the exchange rate is bad, does that mean I earn more from YouTube? Being that it's based on the dollar. I don't know if it is or not. The dollar. So do I get more pounds? I hate exchange rates. Dutch Jan's in the house. How you doing, Dutch Jan? Hoove says high pressure fans versus exhaust fans. Big difference, or huge difference. Fans are one of those things these days. I think something else which made me laugh, well not laugh, but kind of chuckle to myself, was Steve from Gamers Nexus. He's obviously started to use his fan testing machine now. And it's kind of like, I appreciate what he's trying to do. I do, I genuinely do. But just why? Who cares really? Like, yes, a fan in a certain particular configuration with a XYZ is going to perform better than this one at this, but who has like exactly the same case, exactly the same fans, and exactly the same humidity, and exactly the same pressure, and exactly the same amount above sea level? Just buy some cheap fans.
Babe.
Yellow.
Joe or Nick Barnes, who both got the same-ish thing.
Joe.
About Naughty Davy.
What's he doing?
Well, he's making Molly misbehave.
Where is that? Oh, right. Shut down the PC.
Davy.
Dave. Ashley Stracker says, "Way, Bridget has been given the elbow. I'm back and have Jack Daniels and I'm not in trouble." Awesome. That's worked out. I don't think I've got a spare RGB connection without unplugging that one, which I'll instantly regret. I really wish the PC industry would decide on a new ARGB connection. Now, I know that's going to be absolutely hell for a lot of people who've just invested lots of money in their own RGB stuff, but I don't like these connectors. I really don't. Oh, that one's pretty good though. Stays on quite nicely. Let's plug in the other bit as well. This is why I like this case, because it's actually very nice and easy just to work on if I need to open something up. There we go. That is so quiet. That's like literally right next to my microphone. It's moving a reasonable amount of air. And I think those look pretty nice. Do you reckon? I think that's quite a nice effect. Some people don't like the whole kind of blingy stuff, but I think the little bits on the side is quite subtle. And I think they look a lot more expensive than what they actually are. So, yeah. I like them. And ultimately, that is all that matters, because I'm the one who just bought them. The thing is, if I put them into a PC and someone don't like them, it's not the end of the world, because they didn't cost a lot of money. Good old Series 500. What a case. What's that somewhere? Mecha Cameron says, "I don't see the point of fan testing either. I had to stop the video." I'll be honest with you, like, there's some geeks out there who probably really do get off on that stuff, but for me it's like, who cares? Bless me. It was be less me. Yeah, for him, like, I guess it's one of those things, because he's a nerd, so for him it's like a massive wank, isn't it? But for most normal people, it's just like, is a fan any good? Is it pretty cheap? Is it going to explode within 2 seconds? It's like, that's pretty much all that you need to know, isn't it? Does it look nice? Is it crap? But do you need to know, like, well, if you have your porous percentage at 30%, then you're only going to get 1700 RPM, whereas if you have your porous LC of your front case at 50%, you will get 1800 RPM. It's like, oh my God, why? But bless him for doing it, because obviously it's a massive channel. He's got loads and loads of followers, so there's definitely people that are into that stuff. More power to them. But I just, whenever I see these things like the sound chamber, why? Like, why spend the best part of £250,000 on a sound testing chamber that no one else is ever going to have? Like, you can subjectively hear a case fan, you're like, no, I don't like it, it's too noisy. Or you put another one in, it's a Noctua, yeah, it's fine. That doesn't, you could buy every fan on the market to test yourself and not spend £250,000 to find out. It's nuts.
And what's lying to him might not be lying,
Yeah.
or what's annoying to him wouldn't
But
be
yeah,
annoying
but
to others.
yeah, but they measure it on scientific stuff, so it's like not a human ear. So they just get results. So if you're prone to a certain frequency, you won't like this fan. So I understand it from that
But
point of
I don't
view.
know what frequencies I'm
It's good.
not like.
James Miscellaneous, how you doing? It says, diminishing returns when you try to optimize to the point of driving yourself crazy. Exactly, yeah. Cameron says, oh yeah, oh my god, the sound chamber. What, WTF, why? I know. It's like, fair play to him. If he's got the money and the channel's paying for it, then go for it, do it. If it floats your boat, happy days. And if it gets views, even better. But it's like, yeah, like Dutch Jan says there, like 35 or 38 dB. Really, who cares? Like, if I get my sound meter on in here, which probably isn't the most accurate sound meter in the world, the noise floor of this room, just with all the PCs going and like me scratching my ass or something, is going to be about 40 dB. Which, if you watch any of their tests, that's their kind of noise normalized threshold. It's like, that's quiet for me. So for you, it's probably going to be different. And if you're in an office where there's like photocopiers and other PCs and other people milling around and I don't know, people rolling snot balls on the desk, I don't know.
Jockeys.
Yeah, it's all that kind of stuff. So it's all going to be really subjective. And the thing is, most of us, as we're getting older, we're getting deafer as it goes anyway.
Okay.
So it doesn't make no difference. You could buy the noisiest fans in the world or the noisiest keyboard in the world. It ain't going to piss you off because you ain't going to hear it.
I can hear yours in bed. Just saying.
Anyway, moving on. So that is the things I wanted to show you about. If there's anything that you're interested in, I'll try and, like I said, do some links. We'll do the video reviews anyway, as usual. So you'll see all this stuff. And the RAM testing, for me, is something which I am actually quite interested in. It's probably a complete waste of time trying to get 4 sticks of RAM to work reliably on a AMD chipset. But I want to try it just because, well, for my own, a bit like Steve, I guess, for my own kind of insanity. I just want to see what is possible. Let me move some of this crap out of the way. Oh, I've got to take that back to Motor Prats tomorrow. Mustn't forget that. Right, I'm going to go and get the case. So talk amongst yourselves a minute.
That's quite a good name. That's the same as
Motor Prats.
Yeah.
Just move the two. I might make a t-shirt of that and see if he notices. You're going nuts, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hello, Motor Prats. How can I help? Oh, I'd like a Cortina clutch, please. No problem, sir. Would you like tea and sugar with that? Hello, Oates.
You get a louder ass scratch if you shave and the hairs are just come back.
That's true, yeah. You'll get that bristle effect on the old ass scratching. Right, I need to move some of this crap out of the way. When I say crap, I'm not being disingenuous. It's just a colloquial term for shit on my desk. Oh, it's semi-technical. I don't know why. I seem to be selling stuff, but not making actually any room. Right then. Let's have a rant. Let's have a small rant. So, today, now, next on the agenda.
Fred says it's the same. You buy a motorcycle and then you say it makes too much noise. I'm going to take it back.
Yeah. Next, we'll be taking a look at this bad boy. This is the Antec C3 ARGB mid-tower case from Antec. Well, this one wasn't. This one was from Colin Hilton. Because Antec are still bastards and won't return my calls, but anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. Makes no difference.
Have you looked at the P480 case?
P480, is that an older one? That sounds like an old school one from like the 2000s. The P480, yeah, I think I might have done. Or am I thinking the P180? I don't know. They have so many models. Can I borrow your nails to do that, please? Sorry, I'm having... I can't get into the box.
Use your Swiss.
I need my Swiss Army wife. Thank you. Right, let's get this out of the box. Actually, I will say, something that Antec have done very, very well here. Praise where praise is due. The packing is awesome. So it's that really nice soft styrofoam or sponge foam, whatever it is. So yeah, it's been extremely well packed. I will give them that. So if you do buy one of these cases, there's almost zero chance of it getting damaged in transit. Although I'm not saying you should buy one. Yeah, I think so.
You'd be good, Dave.
Right, let's have a look at viewer activity, what's going on here. And analytics one, didn't we? How many likes we got on this stream so far? Come on, people. Press the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. See if we've got any messages coming through. Oh, something on Facebook. I was having a bit of a rant. Dave, what you doing? I don't want to see your balls and stuff.
Oh, can we aim the camera down a little bit to him?
Go on then. Let's do some label remover on your ball bags.
Don't put chemicals near him.
Your belly rub. There you go.
Oh, happy feet, Dave.
Got happy feet?
Look at the floof.
Get the floofy paws. And his little toe beans. Toe beans, Dave. God damn it, he's such a softie, isn't he? Move over, hippie.
Is that about right, please?
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's right. Okay, right.
Oh, he was happy, weren't you?
Antec C3 ARGB. This case is available in black and white, and also available with and without the ARGB and also the hub. Varying prices. This one, about the cheapest at the moment in the UK for this version, is about £80 plus postage. And that was from overclockers.co.uk. Also available at Scan UK, Amazon, etc. Amazon, I think, are the most expensive at the moment, about £120. So yeah, Dave.
Welly Bob wants to know if you're ever called Mick.
Yeah, now and then.
Bye.
Just people.
You didn't know any were.
I've been called Mick before, and also in the comments, people have called me Mick every now and then. Hey,
Call me Mark.
Yeah, they call me Mark as well. Hey, Mark, I've just watched your videos. Thanks very much.
At Mike's Unboxing.
Yeah, at Mike's Unboxing. Hey, Mark, just watched your video. It's like, did you hit all the branches on the dumb tree? Jesus. Anyway, I digress. So price-wise, yeah, it's all over the place. £80 plus postage at the moment is about the cheapest we can find here. Now, in general, I would say the build quality is pretty darn good. Can't really complain. They've done some very nice things with this case, such as the zero frame going on here. So they've actually done quite a clever thing. They've actually beveled the glass 45 degrees on both sides, so it does fit together kind of almost perfectly. There doesn't appear to be any obvious gaps down the side or any sharp edges, which is actually also a relatively hard thing to do. So kudos to them for doing that. We like that a lot.
Mark's getting right.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah, Mark's Unboxing. I know. Jesus. I'll have to get a t-shirt made up saying that. My name's Mike, not Mark. God damn it. Yeah, so overall, it's a nice build quality. They've got some pretty nice features on here. Overall, it's been executed reasonably well. But there are some definite gotchas with this case, which the closer you look at it and the more you look at it, the more you find things that you're like, why would they do that? Or, what? Yeah, just why? You do find yourself asking some questions. So in terms of size wise, it's actually pretty compact and it's actually quite narrow as well, which is both a blessing and also a curse. And I'm not sure if you can see it already, but there's actually not really anything in this case at all at the moment, but yet there is a bit here which is already bowing out. I'm not sure how well that's coming across on camera. This from kind of here to about there is bowing out. So there's like a physical gap there, which kind of disappears as we go down. I'm not sure if that's my fault or not. It might well be. Let me try and pull that off. No, it's a case thing, not a me thing. Ventilation on this, at first glances, looks to be excellent, but it isn't. It's less good than you would think. Other good things as well they've done on this. Again, got to say good things where they've done good things. The front section, on most of these type of fish tank cases, this front panel, you normally have to take off the side panel and possibly the back panel to undo a couple of screws in the back to release this section. But they've actually done something quite clever, and they've strengthened the top section, meaning that you can actually just use the grab handle and pop the front off and still gain access to the front section. And if you want to do any kind of maintenance, or maybe you want to check a ram stick's not in properly, you can actually gain access to it that way quite easily, which is quite nice. Not many other fish tank cases will allow you to do that. Now, it's predominantly a plastic affair, so the front panel is all plastic. Obviously you've got the glass, and I'm not sure if you can see it there, but there's definitely like that beveled edge you can see, almost like a diamond edge to it. And obviously there's the same on this side as well, but it's all nicely done, rounded off, no sharpness to it. So that is that's pretty good. And to put it on, obviously just the reverse, so just push it back on. Taking the side panel off, now this is where it starts to show its kind of some of its cheapness. So the thumb screws aren't captive, and they're on these little plastic thumb screws, which hopefully it might be focusing on. But basically, yeah, these plastic thumb screws, they are good for normally a year or two, but they often crack, especially because of the heat generated in PC over time, expansion, contraction, etc., and they're just prone to cracking. At which point then you're left with just some kind of pretty ugly looking screws on the side of your case. So I would have definitely liked to have seen metal thumb screws, especially when you're paying like 80 quid plus for a case. I think that is something which you should have straight off. Also, the side panel, if you're trying to take it off, there isn't a grab handle. So it's a friction fit, so you have to kind of manipulate the glass backwards, and then it won't fall out because there's a ledge at the bottom, which is good. But yeah, there's no handle. So yeah, it's a little bit awkward, and kind of lifting it off, normally that surround stops you getting your fingerprints all over it. So you could kind of lift it like that, but it's not a very natural way of doing it, I think, personally. But it's nice thick glass, so 4mm thick glass, which is yeah, pretty nice. So then with that, we can see inside. And actually, I'll take this side bit off as well. Put that to one side. So you can see now, inside very open, lots of access, and it's pretty strong. Very little flex there. Now there's a good thing here, and there's a bad thing. Obviously, they've strengthened this top bar. You can see there it's a bit wider than the rest of them, especially the front. So this bar has been specifically strengthened to give this more rigidity, but by doing that, they've reduced the size of what you can actually put a 360mm radiator in. So putting a 360mm radiator in, it says it will support a 360mm radiator in the top, but it won't support all 360mm radiators. So a Antec, sorry, not an Antec, I said that in the review. A Arctic one doesn't want to fit because it's a little bit too big, and also it drops down too far, so it covers up the EPS plugs. The thermal right one wasn't too bad at all. A thermal take one is okay. So if you're putting a radiator in here, you want to measure the radiator's full length, and if it's 397mm or less, it will fit, but it'll still be a squeeze. Ideally, you want it less than 397mm. Any more, and you might need to, there's a rivet in the back which kind of pops out a little bit, which takes up a few millimeters, so that might help to get rid of that. And there's not really much you can do here. You could possibly chop out a little bit of metal, but obviously if you're buying an expensive case, you don't want to be doing that. So what I'm trying to say is be careful with your measurements there, and make sure you get a unit which is going to fit. And actually, let me re-measure it a moment.
I don't know if you answered it. How many
It comes with 4 fans as standard, so you get the 3 ARGB on the side, which are reverse airflow, and you get 1 in the back, which is the traditional airflow. So 400. Yeah, I would say at the very, very most, like 399, maybe 398. When I measured it yesterday, it seemed like it was less, but okay, so a millimeter is very easy to get wrong. So yeah, that's a little bit skewed because there's an offset at the back as well. Like some of the rads you'll put in here, and you won't be able to put all the screws in, so you'll have to fix it with like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 screws rather than 12, because you won't be able to screw the last lot in. So just be wary of that, because it is a definitely slightly cramped space, and that is something which is very common across this entire case. The kind of the whole thing is like it's all a little bit cramped, and the more you go through it, the more you notice it is. O. Wolfman says use a drill. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Right, let's start off. So this section here, this is for drive caddies. So you can put a 3.5-inch drive underneath and a 2.5 on the top. The bizarre thing is with this caddy is a quick release tray, but the caddy is not quick release and there's no access to it. So you can't access it from the front and you can't access it from the back. So the only way of actually getting access to your drives is by putting the case on its back and undoing 2 screws underneath this cover, sliding it backwards, which I'll actually do. I think this is one of the first things, when Colin came down this week to drop it down, I think, was that the first thing, was that what Colin noticed, Kath? Can you remember?
About the drive cage. I wasn't paying too much attention, but yeah, he did.
I think it was Colin who mentioned the drive cage. But yeah, so you have to undo those 2 screws. Then that slides back, and then you can take the caddy out, and then you've got this like plastic quick release thing, like on rails, which doesn't want to come out. Oh fuck, that hurt. Right, some of this metal is a bit sharp. Did I cut myself then? No, come close. Right, I hate this. Oh, it still don't want to come out. So there's the caddy, plastic caddy, which again is supposedly quick release, but it doesn't really, well, didn't seem to want to come out very quickly at all. And also looking at it, get off the cables, Dave! If you look at it, it's definitely bent on one side. So it's not been made particularly well. So this is, like, I would probably throw that out in the bin. If you want to put a drive in, obviously put a drive in. But I would probably chuck that out. Now this section, when you've actually got that drive bit out, you can put a fan in here. It's not the best of airflow because I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's kind of, there is perforations there, but yeah, it's not as open as I'd have liked to see for a fan mount, but you could put an extra fan in there. So these P120 fans, sorry, P12 fans from Antec, you can pick these up on their own for about 15 quid each, or about £30 for a set of 3. So again, obviously if you want a set of 3, it's probably the better value way of doing it. In terms of the fans themselves, they're actually not too bad. Decent RPM range. Can you just get off the table, please? Yeah, decent RPM range, they're not too bad at all. Whether or not there's that much value in them being included, like if you've got your own fans already, probably better off just using your own fans, to be honest with you. But yeah, the options are there. This, I think, is basically kind of, well, it's not junk, but it's very flimsy metal. Like, we can just bend that. It just bends all over the place. There's nothing to it at all really structurally. So yeah, and this bit doesn't really, it goes in, but it doesn't really want to come out. There we go. Eventually it comes out. So the chances are, like, the quick release bit is pointless. You're probably better off just, yeah, just throwing it in the bin. It's kind of pointless. Which way round does that go? That way round.
Who says how much cat hair will this piece suck up?
Oh, all of the cut hair.
Oh, we have 6 of them.
Is that locked in now? Yeah, there you go, that's locked in. So yeah, it's not the best execution there in terms of the drive caddy there. Again, it's not many people are tending to use hard disk drives these days, so I can understand why there's not so much focus on it. But if you're going to offer up a solution for mounting drives, at least make it make some sense.
Does it vibrate? Sounds like it would make noise.
I think it would, yeah, because there's no dampeners in there, so if you've got a mechanical drive in there, it is going to vibrate through the whole case. You could probably alleviate that by using like rubber dampened screws or something, but they're not included in the packaging, so you'd have to kind of work it out for yourself.
Make some out of these vents.
Yeah, probably. Next thing along, there's a little RGB light in this section here. So this is a plastic cover, RGB light in there, and also you've got your PSU basement. Now the PSU basement is one of those things where it's kind of, it looks cool. I love the look of this case, don't get me wrong. When I saw this case first of all, when it came out, or it was announced at CES, I think it was many moons ago, I looked at it, I was like, damn, that's a nice looking case. That is awesome. I would really love to have one of those. And that is still my opinion. I think it looks absolutely great.
Jan dislikes it.
Touch Jan dislikes it. There's a surprise.
I say hate since last week.
Dislike is better. I still really do like the design. I'm a sucker for the fish tank design case. I really do. But there's very few companies which actually manage to pull it off well, because it is a hard thing to do. I think the only one... No, actually, I don't think there is a slimline fish tank case which has been executed well. I don't think it exists, because you need to have the depth, which then makes it a dual chamber case, which isn't quite the same. It is still a fish tank case, but it's not a dual chamber. And I think this is where this one falls down, because it's trying to be a dual chamber case, but without the dual chamber. So you've got the kind of like the nice looks and stuff, but it's all very cramped. Anyway, moving on. So from the top basement section, nice cutout there for your PCI Express cables to go into your graphics card. Excellent choice to put it there. And you've got 2 cutouts there at the back for things like your front panel audio, your front panel connectors, USB 2s, etc. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Maybe if I was to be slightly nitpicky, I would say maybe make those a little bit smaller and have 3 of them. So 1 HD audio, 1 there for USB, and 1 there for front panel. That's just being picky. Yes, Kath?
Hooves, can you see?
Hooves, yeah. How does size of case affect airflow? It appears very small form factor cases struggle with heat. Yes, it does, because if you imagine anything, like if you've got a Mini, a small car, and you put 4 people inside it, and you close the windows, it gets really hot really quickly. Whereas if you've got something like a Cadillac, 4 people in there with the windows up, it's not going to warm up quite as quickly. Obviously, if you're in the sun or whatever, yeah, but we're talking in like an ambient condition. Because there's more heat generated in a smaller space, it gets hotter, so you need better airflow. So the bigger the case, the cooler the components. That's the general rule of thumb. Regardless of what's inside it, or the ambient temperature, or how many fans, that is the first initial thing, which is why small form factor cases or mini ATX are hot boxes, always known as hot boxes, because there's just less airflow inside, less room, so the heat has to expand somewhere. Once it gets to the point where it's expanded to all of the case, it then kind of, the fans then just suck in heat and just keep on recycling it. So it becomes then like a never-ending cycle of just heat pulling in heat. So a bigger case would have more chance of pulling in cooler air, and the air to actually cool even more so inside the case due to airflow. What do they call it? Thermodynamics or something. But basically, yeah, air as it's moving generally cools. So you want to have airflow moving and somewhere for it to actually move. Hopefully that explains it a little bit. Anyway.
It's not considered a small form factor, is it?
This isn't considered a small form factor, but it is slightly more cramped than some ATX cases. And due to the design of the fans. So because you've got your intake fans on the side and also the reverse blade. Now, a reverse blade fan will never perform as well as a traditional blade fan, because a fan reasonably, especially with the blades that we use, is designed to push air in one direction. And the frame is designed to kind of, it's basically, it's designed to do a job. Otherwise, they would have made reverse fans from day one. But they don't work as well because of the angle of the fans, the fact that it's pulling through a bracket or rotor, and you never pull air through something as fast as you can push air through. So pushing is easier than pulling in terms of a motor or a fan, like when you're pulling or pushing a car. So yeah, you've got 3 fans there, which are slightly lower spec than 3 normal fans anyway. Plus then they're aimed straight at the panel of glass, which is here. So naturally it's going to reduce the airflow or the air speed. And then it's got to do like a 90-degree turn towards your components. Now it's going to be helped to some extent because you've got this fan in the back which is already exhausting air. So some of the air from here is going to be naturally pulled across this way because of the exhaust and the air pressure differential. And also the fact that if you've got a radiator or fans in the top, which possibly you will have, that's also going to be exhausting air. Again, you're going to have the pressure differential. So when air is exhausted, obviously the case is naturally trying to pull in air to kind of replace what has been exhausted to prevent creating a vacuum. So that in some instances, like if you've got weak fans as intake, if you have strong exhaust fans, they will actually help the intake fans. Anyway, I'm going way off a tangent here. But yeah, basically in terms of case design and thermal design, having your fans on the side like this for an intake is bad to begin with. Visually it's quite appealing, but in terms of actually doing the job it's designed to, it's pretty awful. It's not a good way of doing it, but it looks nice, so that's why people do it. Other things here, so all the pillars are pre-mounted in the ATX format, which is kind of nice that that's done from the factory. Something which I did notice, which isn't really a deal breaker, but at £80 plus you would expect, you probably noticed already, there's no rubber grommets. Not a single rubber grommet. All of it is just bare metal, which is a shame, I think, because ultimately this is designed, like fish tank cases are designed to be a showcase for doing a really nice tidy build and being visually appealing. If you didn't want to have it visually appealing, you just have metal sides and fans on the front and that'd be it. But the design of this is to be appealing, and the fact that you can see some of the wires already through the side there just means that you're not going to have a perfectly clean looking build due to the fact there's no grommets. So yeah, some people don't like that. I'm not massively bothered about it, but it gets to a point where if I'm spending a certain amount of money, there is a certain level of equipment or trim level which I would expect. Again, same with a car. If you're spending the extras on a car of a higher class, you expect it to have like a radio cassette or headrests or whatever, CD player, whatever, you know. It's that kind of thing. Like when you buy a base spec BMW, like, does it have a steering wheel? Kind of want one of those. Anyway, so that is it for inside. In the top there is the EPS and cutouts there for passing through stuff from your radiators. Again, it's quite narrow, so you can put 140s in the top, or 3 120mm fans or 2 140s. But if you put 140s in there, you are going to definitely struggle to get your EPS cable through because it is going to be super close. So I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more height to the case just to aid with that, because realistically the fish tank design case, people are likely to put water cooling in here. So having an extra inch or two here, just so you can clear those connectors, just so you can work, like, especially if you're buying cable extensions to make it look nice, you are never going to see them, and also they're never going to fit through. Super chat there, I think. Is that?
No, it's here.
Oh, it's there.
But my phone's going to
Stuart sent us £20, 20 GBP. Thank you very much, Stuart. Much appreciated. You're a lovely man. Despite what it says on the toilet wall, I don't agree with that entirely. But you're a fantastic person. Thank you very much for your kind donation.
Steve,
What have you done now?
he grabbed hold of my hoodie.
on, I think. Thank you.
Should I put that in the bin for you?
Yeah, go on then. I'd have no chance of getting in the bin from here. Okay, so 3 reverse fan blades, 1 single all-eye RGB. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else I can tell you about that. Move around to the back, so kind of more of the same. The PCI Express blanking plates are removable and replaceable, so that is good. Not those crappy bend out ones which you see on some. The side bit on there, that's pretty much standard affair. Again, you've got those crappy cheap plastic thumb screws which will disintegrate at some point. Same for the side panel. ATX power supply basement. 120mm fan, can move it up about an inch or so. Hexagonal mesh, so good for airflow. That is pretty important. And obviously you've got a cutout there, no sharp edges, so that's nice. We'll take a look at the back now. Now I've actually cable managed this already to try and make it look a bit tidier, because out of the factory it looks like absolute garbage. When the video comes out you'll see it, but it's yeah, hopefully I've done it reasonably cleanly. Now this is where we start talking about things which I do dislike quite a lot. The first bit, this side panel, excellent. Hexagonal mesh, brilliant stuff, exactly what you want to see. Excellent porosity, excellent for airflow, etc. But they end up putting a filter on which is basically like minuscule. So by the time you put the filter over the top of those holes, it's almost impossible for air to get through in any meaningful way whatsoever. Now it's going to be great for dust filtration because basically nothing's going to get through it, and you're going to be reducing airspeed ridiculously, like super significantly. So my advice, if you are going to get one of these cases and you do value airflow, or you live in an area where the ambient temperature is kind of like reasonably warm, get this thing, chuck it back in the box, or just leave it on the side there. Like, no one's going to see it anyway, but just don't use it. It's absolutely awful. Reduces the airflow by an absolutely insane amount. I don't know why they do this. Like, I can barely feel that on my fingers blowing it, and that's only going through the first filter. This effectively is another filter, so going through that as well. I'm feeling more going around the side touching my arm than I am my fingers. There's nothing coming through there at all. So this is absolutely atrocious. Never ever leave that in place because it's just pointless. So that is going to be much better. You're going to get much better airflow, and the fans are actually going to be able to do what they're supposed to do. So side panel is okay. Good porosity on the metal, but the filter is absolute trash. So please don't use it. If anything, they should have used one of those nylon mesh ones. Those are much, much better. And like, for instance, like Thermaltake here, they do the same thing. You've got the big vents on the front, but you've also got a nylon mesh behind, and the airflow is fantastic. It can be done correctly, but they've chosen not to by using cheap filters. So in the back, obviously the fans you can see, I've actually turned one of them around to make wiring easier, but it messes up the RGB look a little bit, but anyway, whatever. Front panel connections. The front panel connections for the hard drive LED and power LED, or power switch, they've done white plugs on them, which actually should be commended, because that's a nice thing. But the writing on them is also done in white, so you can't really read what it is unless you get your peepers on, or get your phone out and put it in magnifying mode. So yeah, that one says, if you get it in the right light, it's alright. Power switch, hard drive LED. So that must be power LED there, because that's always split. So it's nice they've done it, because it's going to look nice inside, but you can't read them, so it's a bit of a pain. HD audio, they've sleeved the cable, so the ketchup and mustard still a little bit visible on the end there, but they have taken the effort to actually sleeve that a little bit with heat shrink, so points for that. Again, all these cables are white as well, so that's pretty nice. USB 3.0 Type A, only one. And then also you've got your Type C. USB Type C, 10 gigabit per second. The USB Type A is 5 gigabit per second, which is absolutely fine. We stick that through there, so clear that out of the way a little bit. So down here, ARGB fan hub, Arkwright. Fan hub there, so 6 ports on it, 4 of which are already taken up for the fans for the PWM. So you've got 2 spare. And for the ARGB, you've got the 4 fans obviously, plus the RGB from the front, from the PSU basement. So it only leaves you with 1 spare header, which isn't a lot, but I guess it's better than not having a header. Yeah, cable management, I had to cable manage that just to have a fighting chance of being able to see what was going on here. It's very, very tight in the back here. There's no room to move. So he would have. Between the fans there and outside is like about 10 mil, if you're lucky. The largest gap in here for cable management, like on the side here, they say is 23 mil, which 23 mil is basically the width of your finger. So that ain't a lot. So if you're using a power supply with like braided cables, you're screwed. Immediately you're screwed. Don't even attempt it. When I was doing the review yesterday of this, I used the RM650, also sent from Colin. Thank you very much, Colin. And just with the RM650, which isn't a massive power supply, and the 24-pin main power connector and a SATA plug to power the SATA hub, I was already experiencing difficulties with cable management. So it is, no matter what you do, even if you take absolutely ages up with it, just purely because the amount of wire in here, like just there, I noticed there's a cable tie. I've got to turn that cable tie around a little bit because it's sticking out and I can see it's coming out further than the back of the case, which was probably why it didn't go on very well earlier. And also like these cables here, but this shouldn't be a thing. Like maybe I've done them up a little bit tight or something, but it shouldn't be that cramped in the back of the case. If you're an experienced builder, you're probably going to be able to manage it and get around it. But if you're a newbie starting out with this, you're fucked, basically. Like, I'm not going to hold back. It's going to be, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And you're probably going to want to take out all of these drive caddies just so you got somewhere for your power supply cables to go, because there's like literally no room. I would suggest if you are going to be building in this case, the first thing you look at on your checklist is a power supply with, well, first of all being modular, so you can not use some of the cables, but also for it to have those flat cables, like the licorice style cables, either in white or black. Ideally in white, because otherwise they're going to stick out like a sore thumb because you've got no covers. But yeah, I would strongly suggest doing that. ARGB is powered by a SATA, so that's kind of nice. They've done a short cable on there, which is probably a little bit of a blessing because you haven't got a lot of room to maneuver. And actually, if I take some of this out of the way, you can see there is the power supply basement. So 195 millimeters, including wires. That ain't a lot. That is very tight. And in fact, I would almost be tempted to try and use an SFX power supply because there really isn't a lot of room. And actually, let me grab a power supply very quickly, so I have one to hand. So this is the RM650, which I would say is pretty much an average size power supply. Maybe it's slightly on the bigger side. So this is 160 millimeters. So with the cables plugged in, yeah, with the cable bend, you're looking about 200 mil altogether. So this is about the biggest power supply you're going to be able to fit in here. So your actual power supply, ideally you want like 150, maybe 140. And then that starts costing you money because small power supplies aren't cheap. So with that lined up, I'm not going to put the screws in because I'm only going to put it in there temporarily just so you can see what it looks like. But you can already get some idea of how cramped that is going to be. Now these cables, to be fair, these are braided cables or like sheathed or whatever you want to call them. So these are a little bit thicker than usual anyway. But see what I mean about this? Like we've got 23 mil of gap power, cable management space, 23 mil. So let's be sensible and measure how wide is this cable. So we're looking there roughly somewhere in the region of about 18 or 19 mil. So that only leaves you about 4 millimeters of wiggle room on either side. Now, as you know, most of these cables, they never ever lie flat against anything because they just don't. So if you've got a power supply with this sort of braiding on there, especially like this bit here, the chunky bit, which goes at the end of most Corsair power supplies where the resistor packs are, that ain't going to go in there. Like that, its widest point is 28 mil. So already that is not, if that's there, like on the back, and you just poke this through, because your motherboard's there, your case ain't going to go back together. So this is what I mean. You have got to be extremely careful what power supplies you're using, what cabling you're using. Like if you're a newbie, I can imagine there being people who buy this case and it's like tears at bedtime because they've got it. They're like, I can't put it back on. It won't go together. What do I do? Yeah, it's not good. Calm down, Mark. Anyway, on the plus side, the hub actually has the reset switch connected to it, so you can cycle through the colours, etc. And it's the normal PWM and ARGB, so you can plug that into your motherboard. That's absolutely fine, got no problems with that. The power supply basement, I think, is way too small.
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
Surely an SFF power supply unit would have cables too short.
It would for most of it, yeah. You probably need cable extensions. Cable extensions you'd probably be okay with, because the cable extensions would be it kind of like from here into the PC. It's going to be trouble whichever way you go, realistically. In actual fact, if any of you watching know of a cheap-ish, modular, semi-decent power supply, which is cheap, did I say cheap? Cheap. Make sure it's cheap. Let me know. I was going to get one from AWDIT. They've got their X range of power supplies, and they've got a fully modular, I think it was a 750 watt bronze rated for about 50 quid, and it's in white as well. And I'm tempted to get that just to build in this, just to see if it can be done. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it from the back. There's a little bit of extra cable management space. It does recess in there a little bit more, which is actually probably the worst thing there, because that you want further out so you can pass the cables through. But anyway, so that is kind of it for there. On the bottom, it gets worse for the poor old power supply. That poor bastard is going to get absolutely cooked in here. So the mesh, again, they've done this cheap, like whatever, it's just basically metal with like pinholes in it. So again, throw that in the bin.
You need a fan room thing.
I need a fan tester. No, I need a filter tester. That's what I need. I see. I'll mention it to Steve Burke. I'll say, Steve, how about getting some filter testers? You miserable hippie. So mesh on the bottom, hexagonal mesh, great for airflow. Your power supply's only got one option, to be face down. So yeah, if you put that filter in there, your power supply is going to cook itself very quickly indeed. So you don't want that. And the same goes for the filter that was on the front there, which I think I've already taken out. Again, there's that really daft stuff, which is basically nothing passes through. So it's great for air filtration. But if you've got a PC in there which requires any amount of cooling, you are going to be somewhat screwed. And again, I have to remind you that this is an £80 case. It's not a £40 case or a £60 case. It's well, best part of £100 case when you take into account the shipping, etc. I think it should be done better, personally. And I'm actually grateful now that Antec didn't send me this for review, because there is, whenever you get sent anything for review, especially from a company, there's always that kind of thing in the back of your mind of like, you don't want to piss on them, but you also want to be as truthful as possible. And the same goes for us with Colin. Now, Colin was extremely generous and sent this down to us so we could review it, paid for it, even delivered it, etc. So in no way, shape or form does this go, Colin knows this, but I'm not being disingenuous to Colin. If anything,
Colin was pointing out things.
Yeah, Colin was,
in the first place.
when I pulled it out of the box and we were having a look and having a cup of tea, Colin was actually finding things about it before I did. So maybe at that point I was trying to be a bit kinder. I don't know. Maybe I was. Again, leave the filters off. Absolutely no point. Again, if you want to, you can just put them on the outside. Don't put them on the inside. At least that way, if temperatures start rocking, you could probably make some grommets out of them. Cut some slits in them to run some cables through. I don't know. But yeah, I think those are a very, very bad idea. What else we got? Oh, top section. Top section again is it's quite neat and tidy actually. I do quite like the neatness and tidiness. So power button, RGB button, combo headset jack. Not keen on those. Would love to see a split one, because the thing is, if you've got a nice set of like hi-fi headphones, they probably aren't going to have a mic built into them. So then you've got to plug your mic into somewhere else. Like you might have a USB mic, so that's fine. But yeah, I would rather have two connections there, or at least an adapter. USB 3.0, but color-coded white, so that's pretty good. And USB Type-C, also color-coded in white, so that's good. Same filter on the top, which almost all cases have got these on the top now. It's very rare you don't see this these days, but again, really nice mesh, absolutely destroyed by pinhole filtering, which is not very good, but I suppose it is what it is. So that is kind of it, really. I wanted to be considerably more positive about this case than I have been. Now I'm of the opinion that I love the look of it. I think it's a really cracking looking case, and I'm still going to be doing a build and stuff in there just to see if my my thoughts are accurate. I think
because Ram really likes you to Ram.
Does he?
He usually does.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that kind of like, I'm pretty sure.
AIO panel explain.
Eh?
AIO panel explain, it says.
I'm not sure. AIO panel? I don't know. What did I say with AIO panel? I don't know. You may have misunderstood what I said there. I did see it, yeah. I can see the question, but I don't know what it means. AIO panel. Oh, did I say AIO panel? Did I mean IO panel, which is the buttons on the front panel IO. That's what I might have meant.
You can't like them.
Dutch Jan, harsh but fair. They should have made the fan logo another colour. It's fair enough. Yeah, I think you're probably right there, actually. The thing is with the now the Antec stickers, which are on the front of the fans, is a really cheap sticker. You know, like the ones you used to buy for your inkjet printers, so you could print your own labels. It's basically that, and it's white, so it lets all the colour bleed through. And when they're turned on, you can basically not see the Antec logo at all. The light bleeds through so much that that's all you see. So the fans themselves, I would say, are probably some of the, like those cheapo ones we saw off AliExpress. They're probably like £5 each, if that. But they sell them individually for 15 quid from Antec, from various sites, or a pack of 3, either reverse or thing, for 30 quid, which I think is just way too expensive. Now, to kind of summarise my thoughts on this case, I like the look of it. I very much do like the look of it. And fish tank cases have always kind of inspired me to try and do nice, tidy builds, because I think it's the sort of case which demands it, really. You've got to try and do your best. When I had the Techwear VXR, I love that case, still do love it case. It had its failings, but it was a really nice case, and I could put pretty much anything in there and it always looked banging. It really did. Always like that case. I think with this, now Antec is a brand, if you've been around PCs for long enough, you know Antec. Like the original cases, like the P180, P160, the, what was it, the 900 series. The 900 series is legendary. It kind of got the whole ball rolling for the PC modding market. You got the Lamboy and all that sort of stuff as well. So they got a very kind of rich history of doing some really nice cases, which are both practical, structural, and like great air cooling and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like after about mid-2000s, they kind of just fell apart, and they started just buying cheap Chinese knockoff cases and sticking their badge on. And it feels like all the other reviews I've watched recently of Antec cases, people are like, yay, Antec is back, and this is Antec, they're going to be back on form. And being that this is my second experience of modern Antec builds, I'm really underwhelmed. I really am. And again, for the price, you could easily put like a Sahara Gaming or Ions or any of those kind of Chinesian brands. You could put that label on this case and you'd be like, yeah, it is what it is. But because it's got an Antec badge on it, I think subconsciously I want it to be better than it is. And it's like Antec were the top gun of cases. They were better than the best. They were the best of the best. And they were for a long time. And it just seems a real shame that they've now kind of resorted to just making a case just for the sake of it almost. This is basically a rip-off of the Phanteks, I think it's the NV5, which is about 30 or 40 quid more expensive, but a slightly bigger case, but with the same design. If you look at the NV5, it's almost identical in a lot of ways, but they've just basically made it like a cheap version of it. And it's a shame, because again, on paper and to look at, it's got the potential of being a really nice looking case, but I'm really concerned about the power supply basement. I'm really concerned about getting all the cables in the back. And in terms of like maintenance and modifications going on down the line, I wouldn't keep this case for myself, because I know every time I took the back panel off, I would just be crying trying to get it back on together, which was the same I had with the Techwear VXR, which was the same sort of case, similar sort of price at the time, around about 80, 90 quid. And it had the same sort of failings, but that was a dual chamber fish tank, so it had a bit more room. In terms of, so power supply 195mm, CPU height, so if you're using air cooling 160mm, and GPUs up to, I think they said 415mm, which kind of, I would question that. I would say it's probably close. Actually, the front panel does stick out a bit, so yeah. Say 400mm and you're pretty safe. That'll be like up to the end of the fans. There aren't that many graphics cards that are that big these days, so I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for anyone. But yeah, so there you go. That is it overall. I personally think if it had another brand name on it, like Ions or like Sahara Gaming, Mars Gaming, any of those kind of cheaper brands or Chinese brands, I would say if this was on the market for like 65 quid, maybe 60, maybe 70 at a push, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, kind of is what it is. But at the price, like on Amazon, 120 quid, you have got to be smoking crack. There's no way on God's earth that this case should cost 120 quid in anyone's mind. Also, something I didn't mention as well, the fans, not even daisy chainable. So each fan has got one wire for RGB, one wire for PWM, no means of expanding it. So they are basically quite cheap fans. So I feel like I've been like really negative about this, and I probably have been. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have I been too harsh on this? Or am I just telling it as it is? Or is there anything else you think I've missed where I should have actually been a bit harsher? I feel like I've told my side of the story and my opinion on it. I don't want anyone to think that, oh, Mike's pissed off because Antec didn't send him any cases. I'm actually glad, because I wouldn't have been able to be quite as ruthless with the review as I have been with this. And I know deep down, Colin, bless him, he's such a lovely bloke. Even though he spent his money on this and brought it down for us and done all that stuff, he knows ultimately I've got to say what I feel. I can't bullshit people. It's pointless trying to lie, because then you've got to try and remember the lies. When you review as many things as we do, like 3 or 4 or 5 things a week, you'd have no chance of remembering what you lied about. So I just have to say it as it is, which hopefully you appreciate. And talking appreciation, Glenn sent us 420 blazing. Thank you for the monies, Glenn. You're a lovely man. Thanking you. Let's stick a heart on there, if that's working. There we go. Okay. So Greg says that it's 145 Canadian dollars. So 145 Canadian dollars. So roughly, so UK pounds to Canadian dollars is about 150, isn't it? So half of one, what do you say, it was 145. So yeah, it's about the same, yeah, 72 quid-ish. I'm not too sure how taxes work there, but yeah. So similar sort of price to what we'd pay in the UK, maybe slightly cheaper for Canadians then. So 145 Canadian dollars, I think is probably about right. I would still personally, if it was me for building a PC for myself, I think I would probably still look around at that price. It's £70. It's 60, 65. It'd be like, yeah, okay. I think so. If I needed to use 3.5-inch drives, I would probably think again because the mounting system, I think that sucks.
Mikey Mark, spot on.
Marky Mark in the house.
Mickey Mark.
So yeah, let me know. Is there any more questions? Has anyone got any things? Glenn says it's $79.99 at the moment here. That's right. Antec CX800 in wood and black is a much better case for the same price, says R. Portier. Write that one down, Kath. Antec CX800. We'll have a look at that then. Dutch Jan says it's €81 in Germany. I have noticed Antec pricing has been very keen in Europe.
What was it, Antec?
CX 800.
CX 800.
Nick Barnes says I saw the link at Amazon to 120 and thought nah, but 80 quid including the fans then maybe, but in reality too many compromises including the fans that can't be linked. I think that's pretty accurate. David Underhill says, Mike, they are only 69 quid in Oz. So that's alright, that's getting better. Mitch Hammond's in the house. How you doing, Mitch?
Jane Main says the Montec Pro 65 is the best. I purchased 8 of them, and currently it's only black or white.
Okay, write that one down as well. Danny says, my Antec Flex Pro case is far better quality. My brother has the C3 and I didn't like the quality. I think you're right. Yeah, the C3 is the... it's like the cheap cousin, isn't it? It is a shame. It is a shame. My problem is with this... Well, not my problem, but my thing is, I've seen... Flame, get away. You big ginger lump. Right, while he's scratching himself, I'm going to have a slurp of my drink.
Come here, Flame. Oh, you're going to give Candy a wash now?
Okay. Right. My homework, for those of you that are regular viewers, or even if you're just new here as well, and if you're new here, thank you very much, much appreciated. But do me a favour, watch another review of the Antec C3 case on YouTube if you can find one, or a written review, no matter what it is. Try and see if they've picked up on the same things that I did, and see if they skirt around any of the areas I did. So rather than go into it in the depth, and hopefully like some of you appreciate it, the depth that I do go into it, trying to explain my thoughts on a case and the design, etc., and the possible problems. I watched 1 or 2 videos before I did the review, just to gauge people's kind of thoughts and opinions on it. And I watched 2 reviews, and both of them were overwhelmingly positive, like really overwhelmingly positive. And I thought, oh, awesome, this looks good. I can't wait to get it. And well, the rest you know. So I'm really kind of beginning to doubt the whole kind of YouTuber review thing. And it is starting to get to me. I've noticed this a couple of times on a few things that I've reviewed, and I've actually then gone to watch other people's reviews on it, because quite often they'll come up on our feed. So if I review something, then it starts appearing on my feed all over the place. So I watch it out of curiosity just to see if my opinions are the same. And there's been quite a few things I've reviewed that I've noticed other reviewers aren't saying the things that I'm saying. And it really bothers me whether or not it's lack of attention, whether it's them trying not to upset the brands, or some other reason. I honestly don't know. And it kind of bothers me thinking about it at night. But as always, those of you that have been here long enough, you know the deal. I say it as it is. If I upset people along the way, so be it. It's unfortunate, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you lot watching it are the ones that are paying the bills. You're the ones keeping the lights on in here, not companies, because we don't accept sponsorship. Yes, we take in freebies for reviews, but I wouldn't class that as a sponsorship. If anything, it's just removing the middleman of me claiming for it on my taxes versus them sending me it, which generally works out quicker, and sometimes you get it in advance of them actually being available on the shelf. So I don't see that as necessarily being kind of bought as such, especially when the majority of other channels out there won't do a review unless some money crosses their hands or some form of sponsorship. So I think in terms of trying to remain as honest and as open and as to our roots as possible, I think we're doing what we can. But ultimately it's down to you. If you appreciate it, great. If you don't, let me know. That'll be awesome. Hooves says, I got into trouble for... Oh, disappeared. I got into trouble for calling almost all games shit now. Can you give a shit product a good review? It's, yeah. I would struggle to give a shit product a good review. There's some things I know that in some reviews I've said, or I haven't said as much as I thought because I was being really petty. But I think as things are becoming more expensive and people's finances are becoming even tighter, ultimately it comes down to, like, if you watch me review this case and I kind of skirt over all the things that I've found and I say, yeah, you should get one. Use the affiliate links in the video description. You buy the case, you're sat at home and you're like, oh, fuck, this is all going wrong. Why can't I get this in here? Or how does this work? Ultimately, I've opened myself up for A, abuse for reviewing something badly, B, having a Discord, because you're probably going to find me and ask me questions about it, and C, it's like, I don't, it's just not, it isn't worth doing. It really isn't worth doing. So I'd rather be honest and upfront and say what I think. Again, if people don't like it, they don't have to. You're always going to get the fanboys who will be like, oh, I got the Antec C3 and everything is great. My PC is great and it stays cool. Fantastic. If it works for you, awesome. I'm pleased for you. But there's a majority of people out there that really struggle with PC builds, even the most of simple builds. But I'm lucky that a lot of our viewers are pretty savvy when it comes to PC building. But also on the flip side, we do get exposed to a lot of people who are complete novices and beginners. And they struggle even with the most basic of concepts. So having to build a case or build a PC in a case where you have to make so many kind of thoughts in your mind mentally before you even start purchasing, like what power supply to get, what cooler to get, what graphics card, what fans, etc. to fill out the rest of the build. It's tricky stuff that I would struggle with, and if I had to do it blindly, I would struggle. Because I just buy any old power supply and I think, yeah, it should be fine, because surely Antec have thought about that. But I guess they haven't. Or they have, and they've chosen looks over kind of convenience.
Edward Cuss.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being old. Edward Cuss. Bendy Ink says, oh, there's Thanos is in the chat. How you doing, Thanos?
I missed Thanos, sorry.
Is it at the top there? Yeah, manufacturers should listen to us. I agree. Viali says, we all appreciate your honesty, Mike. It makes your channel so good. Oh, thank you. That's really kind. I try. I try to be as normal and as human as possible, because I know that if you watch anything from some of the big channels, they've got such a ridiculous amount of money that they can buy stuff and make an absolute terrible mistake. And as soon as the camera's turned off, they just send it back or throw it in the bin. But we aren't in that situation. We don't do that, and we wouldn't expect you lot to do it either.
Edward Cuss still?
Edward Cuss, sorry. Where was that? Would you be willing to give one of my budget systems a review? Yeah, of course. I think you mentioned that before, didn't you? Yeah, I'm sure we could do something like that. Or maybe if it's a budget system, depending on how budget is, I could maybe even buy it off you. We'll see. Rasher says, my current Corsair mid-crystal 465X has the fine mesh filters and they are kept clean. And if they are kept clean every few weeks, they are fine. Yeah, I like the fine mesh filters. I think they work really well. Charles says, a good sturdy shovel can be a shit product, but give that good review. Bog roll can be a shit product and can also get a good review. I think I know what you mean there. Better to have a fine mesh than a filthy motherboard. Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, the thermal take case behind me, like, that's been there now, well, I dread to think how long it's been there now. When did the Series 500 come out? It's got to be getting on for nearly 2 years now, I think.
I think it's around Christmas time you put it up there. Like, after maybe just
yeah.
a year.
So it might be 2 years now that Series 500's been up there.
Only guessing.
And I honestly don't know when I last cleaned it. It doesn't really need cleaning. It's really good for that.
And Maisie sleeps next to it.
Yeah,
Most nights.
and the cat Maisie sleeps kind of at the front shovel bit. And she's a long-haired, she's a really long-haired cat who's molting. And it doesn't seem to get very dirty or take in much dirt or dust.
Admittedly, it's not.
And being we got a wood burner in here and smokers and stuff, so yeah. Aletta says, gear seekers say that the Antec C3 is the NV5 killer. Lol, I need to watch this and see what Nick has to say. Now, I will say that was one of the videos I watched. And, well, after hearing what I've said about the case, watch his review and see if you can read between the lines. That's what I'd say.
You've gone through it in detail, haven't you, so people can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I've done it live because I wanted to do this definitely live, so I could get all of my opinions out and also try and be as take my time over it and really discuss it in detail. Because like I said, I like the look of it, I really do, and potentially it has the makings of a really nice build, but there are definitely compromises, which I feel that people need to be aware of. Who says, can you review an incomplete game that shouldn't have been released in that state? Yeah. I think we all did. Cyberpunk. Willie Bob says he's still wetting himself. Mike's said people have called him Mark.
We'll have to put the...
I get it all the time.
We'll have to copy it.
The next... In our Discord, there's a funny comments channel. So whenever I get something which is either stupid or funny or whatever, I put it in there.
We'll put the marks in.
I'll put the marks in. So whenever someone calls me Mark or some other name, I think I called Matt as well.
Yes,
I've been called Matt a couple of times. I don't think I've been called anything other than something that begins with M.
Apart from me.
Oh, motherfucker, I got called that.
That's an M.
Yeah, that's an M, luckily.
Oh.
Clown I got called today. That was a nice one.
And moron.
Yeah, I can't believe I got called a clown.
But that's an M as well.
What was it? It was a video for something which was quite like normal, and it was like, Mike, you're such a clown. How about maybe next time do a review on how to build a cabinet? It's like, okay. So I just replied, I'm not sure why, what I've done to upset you, but I apologise. There didn't seem to be any obvious reason. Like, you can call me a clown, that's fine, but tell me at least why. Like, if I give you bad information or something, or it's just the video's too long, or video's too short, or I've spoken too fast, or I look like Hemotep, like, just let me know. What else are you guys saying? Ed says it's been built with parts I've sourced from donations. Okay.
Mitch has asked, before you started your channel, did you have favourite tech channels and who did you like?
I don't know whether I had favourite tech channels. I'll be honest with you, before I actually started doing YouTube, I don't even know if I had a YouTube account as such to kind of, or maybe I did. Yeah, I did have a, but I don't think we had any like subscriptions. Maybe you did to that, Karen or Karina.
I had it on my own account.
No, maybe I didn't. I don't think I actually had any subscriptions as such. Maybe I did. I honestly, probably closer to the time of starting the channel, I maybe did, just to get a little bit of kind of background. But I don't think I necessarily did. I used to just search for things more times than not, because being that I was into building PCs, I was more of a case of, rather than trying to keep up with tech news, I would be like, right, I've seen something on UK Hot Deals or Amazon, I quite like the look of that, let's find out more about it. So then I would search for that specific product. And I don't think we started the channel back in
2017.
Yeah, 2017. So
I had a video on there from when the kids were
back then there wasn't that many YouTube channels as such. Yes, obviously there were, but compared to what we've got now, yeah, nowhere near. So it was very different. I always liked things like, I think Jay's 2 Cents was probably one of the ones I used to see on a reasonably regular basis. More times not, because that was on the YouTube algorithm. That was kind of like was pushed in front of me. So it's kind of like the usual players. So Bitwit, Paul's Hardware, Jay's 2 Cents, Linus Tech Tips, Gamers Nexus. And that was probably Kerry Holzman. Who else?
But it's whoever YouTube pushed through.
Yeah, it was just whoever YouTube was really pushing at the time, to be honest with you. There wasn't anyone that I don't think there was anyone that I specifically followed, because I was at that time I had so many different like little sub niches of things that I was interested in going around in my head. Probably towards that time I was getting more into cars, so I was probably looking for more car videos, like detailing videos, different polishes, different jet washes, different polishing compounds, that kind of stuff. How to repair plastic rear windows in the BMW, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's mostly car stuff, I guess I was looking at the time. When I started doing the YouTube stuff, that was... I don't think I really started the channel thinking about tech or PCs much.
Well,
it was just everything, wasn't it?
Wet and dry vacuum, didn't you?
Yeah, it was mostly just like tools and stuff. Yeah, we all watched the same ones. DeBauer and Steve from Gamers Nexus, yeah.
I don't know if you did watch him. I didn't ever.
I don't remember watching Gamers Nexus at the beginning. I think that probably came later. Hardware Unboxed was more recently, I think. Yeah, early on, I don't think like I said, my interests were very diverse. So it would be anything from woodworking to painting and decorating to radiator installing, like general household kind of stuff that you normally look up, really. And then the occasional PC stuff. I don't think I was as heavily into PCs at the time. I'm trying to think what games come out roughly around, so like Fallout 4 kind of era, I think that would have been. Maybe before that, around that sort of time, I think. Yeah. Mitch says Brytech is getting close to 1 million subs. He is, yeah, he's getting very close indeed. I hope he gets it, I really do, because he said that he would do a face reveal at 1 million subs, so we can see if he's a liar or not. That'd be interesting. He did say it, and there's multiple witnesses. He said he would do a face reveal at 1 million subs. So Brian, or friends of Brian, if you're watching, don't forget, you did say it, gonna have to do it. I think it'd be good for his channel, to be honest with you. I think it'd be good, because those kind of faceless channels now have kind of died off, a bit of a died a death. If you want to build a community, you should at least let people see your face, you know?
Is that aimed at me?
No. I know some people don't like that at all, but I think it's...
Dave's my face.
Some of it is part and parcel.
Oh, look at his floofy feet.
Edward Cuss is not a big fan of Brytech. Look, that's a good thing. It's nice that there's so many channels out there now. that there pretty much is something for everyone. Now, I don't like I like to watch things like Adrian's digital basement. I love watching that. I think that's great, but it's completely outside of what we do here, like retro computing.
To bed so you don't get hungry.
Yeah, I do watch it before I go to bed.
Because he gets sent a lot of treats, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he does to me. A letter says, Brian is cool and has good content, but I unsubscribed due to lack of interest. I think Brian fell for the same... Well, me and Brian used to get on really well. And at the same time, there was a YouTube thing like in the algorithm. And it was basically, if you posted a fresh video every day for 30 days, you would get... Your channel would suddenly start getting a lot more promotion, because YouTube would say, oh, right, regular content creator... This is good, so people will keep on coming back to watch every day, like a newspaper or that sort of thing. And that was it. So we both started doing that at the same time. And that, I think, began the kind of the race to the bottom. Because at that point then, you literally every day, you're struggling to find content. And if you are making content, you kind of rush it a bit. Now, some content's easier than others. So if it's just like a tutorial on how to install XYZ or how to remove the trash can or whatever it is, those are pretty easy to do, but you can't do that every single day because it just gets a little bit monotonous and boring. So then you lose your community, but you gain people who search for your content. So it's kind of you have to decide what you want to do, whether you want to build a community or whether you want people to search for your content. Now, I hope that I've kind of got somewhere slightly in between. So we do the helpful videos now and then, we do the product reviews now and then we just do other weird and wacky stuff in between.
And we do the live streams.
So hopefully people that are part of the community will watch the daily videos just because it's they're interested in the same things as we are. But also the content that we do, hopefully people search for as well, and then they find the channel and think, oh, actually, Mike seems like a pretty normal guy. I'll subscribe to the channel.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Just subbed. Great channel. Like your style. Bastards. Yeah, so that's basically where it is. That's kind of what we do. But yeah, me and Brian fell out. That was the reason we fell out, because we were struggling both to get content every day. So I would release a video and he'd be like, oh yeah, I might do something along those lines. Like, yeah, sure, himself. And so then he would do a video very similar, or even the same in some instances, and the same would happen to me. So I would see something like posted in the news press, like, oh, new thing for Outlook, or this is the new thing in Explorer, or do this to combat viruses, etc. And we all read the same journals and stuff, so it's kind of, you're obviously going to create similar content from time to time. And yeah, a couple of times I had a few quips at Brian about copying my content, and he did the same to me, but he got a bit more offended than I did. I was a bit more tongue-in-cheek. It's like, oh, I'm a tiny little pissant channel with like 8,000 subs, and he's this massive channel and he's copying my content. And I saw it as kind of comical thing, stroke kind of like pretty cool that someone's thinking your videos are good enough that they can do it themselves and put their own little spin on it. And yeah, he didn't see it the other way. He saw it as me copying his work, and we had a few barners about it over a few times, and we buried the hatchet a couple of times, and it got to a certain point where it's like, nah, this is just pointless carrying on this. So yeah, we parted our ways, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Although saying that, I did, I think during COVID, he did message and say, just wanted to drop you a message saying, obviously at this time when everyone's like a bit shitting themselves about COVID, just wanted to say hello and hopefully you're all right and all that kind of stuff. And we spent a couple of messages back and forward, and that was kind of it. So yeah, there's no beef there or anything. It's just, it's one of those things. Sometimes personalities clash a little bit, and it's just the way things are. So but ultimately, like if you look at any of the tech news, like obviously on a launch day for a certain product, your feed is just full of the same video by X amount of people. And the same happens with us who do tech stuff. You see something reported in like Bleeping Computer or 11 forums, even in Google Newsfeed, we all get to see the same things, and it's like, oh, sparks an interest, and then you think, oh yeah, I'll do a video like that. So anyway.
Mitch, not the last one, but the one before, because it's highlighted yellow, orange.
Mitch says, all tech people post
No,
this.
that one,
oh,
not the last one.
Where to? At the top?
Well, a bit more up higher. Brian had a YouTube or maybe another
Oh, yeah.
platform.
Yeah, Mitch. Yeah, Brian had a YouTube channel or platform. Yeah, they used to do podcasts with
He showed his face.
Kerry Holzman. Oh, if you've got any pictures, send them to me. I'll be interested. I promise I won't post them elsewhere. But yeah, if you've got any pictures of Brian, I'm actually interested to see what he looks like, because even though we spoke to him for a number of years, well, it's probably years, isn't it? Over a couple of years, it was like hours and hours, almost every single night.
Yeah, because it was when I was working at Harvester, you'd be on the phone to him when I'd get in the car. And then he'd chat for hours when we got home.
Yeah, so yeah, we used to chat to him for a long, long time, but yeah, never saw what he looked like. So yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, it was Kerry Holzman, Brian, and I can't think of the other person was. I got a feeling it is...
No, that show was with Tim Kelly and another guy.
Yeah. Tim's Computers is Tim Kelly, and Kerry Holzman was the other guy, I believe. Because they said, well, they both said they used to... They fell out as well. Anyone's saying, who's Brian? Brian is Brytech09 from the YouTube channel.
And Mitch says it's not Kerry Holzman.
Is it not? You sure? They did do a podcast together at one point, but if it's not him, yeah, I'd be interested to see what he looks like. I have visions in my head, but I don't know.
Cool Cat. Do you have a Discord? Because I'm a noob.
Yes, we have a Discord. I will put the link in the chat for you right away.
And if you're a noob at Discord, it's not too hard once you get used to it.
Yeah, Discord's actually not that bad once you get used to it. It's
it does take a little while.
Yeah, so it's like anything. Some people are, I wouldn't say naturals, but some people have a little bit more of a gift or have less of a fear. And I think having less of a fear for something, you're tempted then to try to do things to figure it out yourself. Whereas if you're like terrified, like, oh, what do I click on? You don't just try things for yourself. And it happens. But yeah, we can help you. Oh dear. Edward Cuss says, Brian was really rather abusive to me and a couple of others on Discord. Haven't entertained the thought of watching another video. Oh, fair enough. That's sad to hear.
Discord?
In Brytex. Thanos says, Mike, you're our tech guru. I wouldn't go as far to say I'm a tech guru, but hopefully some of it is enjoyable. Rick says, I could do YouTube if I put a potato bag over my head.
I could do a face reveal with a potato bag on my head.
Mitch says, I deleted all pictures of Brian. Actually, Mitch, are you the one that used to be the moderator on Brian's server back in the day? Because I'm trying to think, I'm sure, was there, it was Mitch, wasn't it? Who was in one of the mods in Brian's server?
I don't think I've ever been in it.
I'm sure that was Mitch. I can't remember. Maybe it was. Anyway. Letter says, my only problem with Discord is time zones. Almost never anyone there when I log on. Well, actually, our Discord has been pretty good recently because we've got quite a few Canadians in now. We've got quite a few Americans. Obviously, differing time zones. But it does seem to be getting a little bit busier in the kind of the down times. Whereas, obviously, in the UK, kind of there's people on from about 8 in the morning till around about midnight. Ah, Dawn. Yeah, sorry, Mitch. Yeah, I was thinking about Dawn. That's what I was thinking of, yeah. Sorry, yeah, my mistake. Yeah, this sort of does take a time to get used to. Right, let me put this case away a minute. It's actually getting in my way. Now, Dave, can you go and entertain the ladies and gentlemen while I put this case away?
It's so warm, Dave.
He is, he's like a hot water Dave.
I got you, Davey. Let your claws go. Got sharp claws, aren't you? Bye-bye.
They all love boxes, don't they? What is it with cats and boxes? And shelves.
It's like their little home, isn't it? They were born in a box.
They were.
Horses and barns.
Yeah. Again, hats off to Antec for the packaging. Very nice packaging. It's almost impossible to get this damaged.
Crash bangs.
Crash bang. Yeah, in the post. I have got some parts lined up for this to do a build. So I've got the new Gigabyte motherboard, the B650 Aorus whatever V2 thing that I've reviewed recently. I'm going to put a Ryzen 7700 in there because it's got those really good price on AliExpress as well. Yeah. And also I've got obviously I've got that RAM which I've just bought as well. So I think that'd be quite nice to do a relatively modern AM5 system. And yeah, see how that goes.
I'm going to tape it over to the light.
Oh yeah, let me take that box up. Right, headphone users, beware, I am getting the sellotape out.
And you Bobby Dora.
So there may well be sellotape noises.
Bobby doesn't like it, you might hear a screech. As if by magic. Bit like sellotape, do you, Pops?
There we go. Oh, that hurt. Kath keeps on saying to me, one day you're going to knock that monitor flying off that arm. And I almost did with my buttocks. I was shot in the buttocks. I keep on thinking on this mouse pad that there's little bits of dust on it or dirt, but it's not. It's from the actual design. It won't wipe off because it's printed. Anyway. Cool Cat says, Mike, watch your tea. I am watching it. We're all good. Oh. The RAM's going to be 6,000. Thanos, Mike, what's your future plans for your channel? Well, at the moment as things go, we are reducing the output. Hopefully it's going to be slightly better quality at some point. And it got to the point where it was just ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, there isn't actually anything interesting happening. Like, Windows 11's been out forever. Windows 10's about to die. Quite a few people are going to go off to Linux, I guess. I've got no interest in Linux or using Linux as an operating system, even out of curiosity. I've had many opportunities to do that. I think if I was going to go anywhere other than Windows, I would probably go to Mac. But we're not a Mac channel, and I don't really want to kind of start going down that route because it's a funny thing. You get to a certain size of a channel, and then if you do anything that deviates too much from the norm, you get horrible views and you get horrible comments and you lose subscribers. So you kind of almost kind of shoehorned into your own niche, which I've tried not to do, but inevitably it will happen to some extent. So video schedule at the moment is Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and then the live stream on Saturday. That I think will remain in place for the foreseeable, or at least until there is enough worthwhile content coming out that actually makes sense to make and people are actually going to be interested in watching. We get to the point now, because a 24-hour release cycle, like if you do one every single day, a lot of people just haven't got time to watch the videos. So we release a video and you guys don't get to watch it because it's on your feed and then it's gone, it's replaced with another one. So we're our own worst enemy in that respect. So whilst trying to please the YouTube algorithm with constant content, which obviously is good for bums on seats sort of thing, but again, we're a small channel, reasonably niche kind of stuff. We don't do the latest and greatest processors, we don't do the latest and greatest GPUs, we're not doing like the hardcore overclocking stuff. So it's kind of everyday stuff which people aren't riveted by. They're interested, but they're not going to go out of their way to watch it. So yeah, what I'm basically saying is, by giving a video 48 hours to kind of ferment a little bit, those that miss it on the first day might get to watch it on the second day, hopefully. Also, it reduces the pressure on us to have to release videos, and also it takes the pressure off releasing videos which are basically shit. Now, some of the videos are still going to be shit because not everybody's going to appreciate everything we do, but hopefully I won't have to go through the point of like trawling through the newspapers and the tech journals and stuff and saying like, oh, that's interesting, I'll do that, because people want to know that. I don't really want to be doing that every single day because it is soul destroying. get up in the morning, answer YouTube questions, look for anything exciting in the news, find there's nothing, then go looking through all this stuff. And yeah, I prefer it when I'm actually doing something on a PC myself and I've got a problem and I'm trying to fix it. And it's like, well, how do I fix this? Then I go through the process and then I can make a video on that. I find that much more entertaining and interesting because I've gone through the process. But just seeing someone else's video and then doing the same video and copying it is pointless. It's boring. But there's been times where I've had to do it, or take someone else's video and go, actually, I've done it a slightly different way, so I'll do the same video but in a slightly different format. Things like the how to avoid using Cortana, or how to avoid using Copilot, or how to get around Microsoft accounts, those videos are going to be the same as pretty much everybody's. So it's just, yeah, it is what it is. But it's the type of content you have to do because it is kind of like a pivotal thing about Windows. So yeah, if you don't do it, it's like a bit weird. But there's always going to be newer and different versions of doing that because obviously Windows keep on moving the goalposts. So eventually the previous methods won't work and we'll be doing something else. But that seems to be pretty settled at the moment, so I'm pretty happy with that. There's a video come out, or no, it has just come out, on how to get rid of Copilot in Office apps, which again, not everyone uses Office apps these days. A lot of people don't. So that is going to be one of those things that people are going to probably search for more than actually watch on launch day because it ain't that interesting. But if you need to remove it, then it's a useful video. Hopefully it'll get better. Last Man Standing UK says, Mike, we love you. Thank you. We love you. Rick says, I mean Mark. Oh.
What was that Rolo I had for it with the kangaroo? I need to go at the end. Nice one, Mark.
Nice one, Mark.
It reminds me of you.
Aletta says, I've never seen a Mike video on Fridays. There always was a video on Fridays.
And it's always Crap Joke Friday.
Yeah, Bad Joke Friday was always that on Fridays. Edward says, your opinion on the RTX 50 series cable melting saga. Now, I've got multiple thoughts on the 50 series melting saga. My first one is one of just both spite and also a little bit of lashback, and that is, well, it's your own fault. If you buy into the technology, as soon as it comes out, especially being how expensive it is, then you're basically a mug. And that is part of the learning curve, as it was with the 4000 series and the 3000 series to some extent. So yeah, my harsh comment is, well, it's your fault. you got loads of money, you figure it out. But on the other side, I think to myself, other things such as, it's a bad design. Everybody said it's a bad design. It's an unnecessary design as well. But having said that, if you've seen pictures of the new RX 9070 XT, which has got 3 8-pin connectors on the side, that takes up a fair chunk. And that's a lot of cabling going into it. So I can understand why they did it, to try and minimize cabling, make power supply smaller because they don't need as many connectors. But yeah, it's been badly implemented. I don't think it's affected any 4070s or anything, or 4070 Ti's maybe. So I think it is purely based on the power limit. So it's a problem for the rich, which, yeah, I'm limited on my enthusiasm to try and help it or even get involved in it. I know there's a lot of things as well where they're saying, well, it's because they've removed the shunt mods or whatever, the shunt resistors or whatever they are. I'm not an electrician, so I don't know, and I don't really care. But yeah, a lot of people are saying that De Bauer's video has come out and he basically doesn't know what he's talking about, which I find hard to believe because he seems like a rather knowledgeable chap, especially given his his heritage in being hardcore OC. So yeah, it seems odd. A lot of people are saying that it isn't due to the shunt resistors or whatever, it's more to do with the cable. But yeah, I don't know. That argument can go on and on. Realistically, at the end of the day, it's a bad design. It should have never been released and it should be recalled at its earliest point. But then we've been saying that about USB. USB's bloody awful and it's just part and parcel. I think at the moment there's such a minority of people that actually have hands-on with 5090s or even 5080s that it's a very minimalized thing. But because, like I said previously, one thing incorporates another. So because there's nothing interesting in the PC market at the moment, as soon as there's something like a PCI Express cable catching on fire, everybody's on it like shit rang flies. No, flies rang shit, that's the one. It's basically that, because there's nothing else to report on. There's nothing else interesting going on. If there was interesting stuff going on, you would hardly hear about it. It would be pretty much hushed up. Maybe there'd be a couple of footnotes somewhere. But because there's bugger all going on, it's like, oh my god, this is the news. It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it's kind of, it's not unexpected. We've been there for, what, 4 years now almost? From the 3000 series all the way up through. So there's nothing new. It's not anything unexpected. It's kind of like, clearly it's going to happen. Whatever. But yeah, I think it's a poor design, and also the fact that it's not very well regulated either, in terms of, like, anyone can make a PCI Express cable or a 12 volt high power cable and sell them on Amazon or on AliExpress or whatever, and you've got no idea what cabling is on there. Like, yeah, they might say it's 16 gauge cabling or 12 gauge cabling or whatever it is, but you don't really know, do you? They can put anything on there. So yeah, it's a bad idea in general. I think the fact that we've got to the point where a graphics card needs 600 watts of power, I think there's something seriously wrong with the world. And this, again, I'm going to go off on a side tangent now. Sorry about this, but I'm going to go for a rant. The government, the world government, the World Economic Forum, Greenpeace, basically every bastard is moaning at me, you, and the gatepost that, oh, you're using too much CO2, you're burning through too much energy, you've got to use low wattage light bulbs, you can't have these lights on all the time, blah, blah, blah. That's all we hear all day long. Now, think about this in a logical way. My light bulb uses 6 or 7 watts of electricity. I wouldn't leave that on all day unnecessarily. If I'm playing a video game and my graphics card is trying to use anywhere more than 250 watts, there's something seriously wrong with the world. The fact that I could have well over 100 light bulbs on somewhere and still be using less power than a high-end graphics card is mind-blowing. But yet, for some bizarre reason, somebody somewhere is like, this is okay. Now, I can't light my wood burner with certain fuels because of what it does to the atmosphere, but Nvidia and AMD can put out graphics cards, processors, and motherboards and power supplies which absolutely piss through energy like it's going out of fashion, but that's fine. It just seems like such a bizarre world. Like, back in the days, I think it was like the Radeon 9800 XT maybe, the old one. It was getting absolutely caned because it used so much power. It not only had a 6-pin PCI slot on it, or a 4-pin Molex. And it was getting absolutely slated because it needed extra power. Whereas now it needs like a gigawatt power supply to run. It's fucking mind-blowing. I'm sorry to use language, but it really is. It just really gets me that, like, a motherboard, when your PC boots up, sometimes it'll come up with the EPA Energy Star certified thing on there. Because the motherboard is energy efficient because it goes to sleep when you're not wiggling your mouse for a while. But if you're playing games all day, you're pissing through thousands of watts of power. God. It just, I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Like, we cannot use traditional tungsten light bulbs in the house because they use too much energy. But I can put a new NVIDIA graphics card in my thing, and I can use AI because AI is great. It's just nuts. Dan Marr says, I've been a tech skeptic for decades. I have. Yeah. Yeah, you think... Actually, Strachan's got a really good point there. If this was a car, it would sink that brand. Exactly. You think, like, when we had the fuel crisis back in 2002, because fuel was... Or 2001, sorry. Because fuel was just getting to, a pound a litre or something, or 60p a litre, whatever it was back then, I don't remember. But everyone was like pissed off, and the whole country shut down because there's a fuel strike. So everyone was like, oh, I'm going to buy a 1 litre engine or a 1.4 litre engine. If you come out then with a Range Rover with a V8 5 litre engine, like, no one in their right mind is going to buy it because you can't afford to run it. But in the PC market, that's absolutely fine. Like, you can buy a Intel 14900K, which is going to potentially burn through 320 watts at peak load or more, depending how it's tuned. Then you've got your graphics card, which, I don't know, another 500-600 watts, plus your RGB, because obviously you've got to have RGB. But it's just nuts. It's like 1,000 watts. That's basically the same as having an air fryer on. Would you have an air fryer on for 8 hours a day? Or for 4 hours a day while you're playing games? You wouldn't, would you? It would be absolute lunacy. But yet somehow we are all being kind of mind fucked into buying this stupid shit. Sorry, I've said bad words again. But it's so frustrating. I cannot understand the world that we've got to where Nvidia, AMD, and the tech people like YouTubers and online content and advertising and all that, we're all being pushed into like, oh yeah, you got to upgrade every year. Of course you have. You got to get a new PC all the time. You got to get the latest and greatest graphics card. Yeah, if you've got a 40 series, no man, you got to go for a 50 series. That's the way forward. It's bananas.
There's
it really
a
is.
lot in there. It's like we might be saving energy, and yet everything's going digital. Well, go back to pen and paper if you want it to save energy.
Yeah, it all started for me. My tech skepticism started in the mid-80s when they coined the term the paperless office, which the computer generation was going to herald in the paperless office, which it didn't, because everyone knew that computers were rubbish and were not the great at keeping records at the time. So everything you did was printed out, and printed out numerous times. So not only did you have your original piece of paper, you had multiple copies of that paper, plus the computer to print it, plus the printer, plus the toner. Oh my god. We've got more paper now than we ever had. But we've got a paperless office. It's nuts. Bendy Ink Machine Fan says, but they don't understand we can't afford to keep doing it. No, they do understand that. That is the reason. It is a wealth transference. They want all the money that you have or that you've saved. They want that money. They don't want you to keep hold of it.
They don't want it.
Yeah.
But they don't want you to have it.
That's it, yeah.
They don't need it. They print it.
Ah, dear. It's bizarre. Cool Cat says, Mike, I use a diesel air heater. I bought for £80. The fuel is reasonable and saves me lots of money. If you can use it in the garage and blow the hot air into the home, you'd save thousands. It's not a bad idea. Nick Barnes says, so true, Mike. Faxed copies, etc., etc. Yeah. Like, if you go anywhere, like if you go to a hospital or something, or even go to maybe a travel agent, or go to airport, pretty much anything, whatever, like, you go online, you buy your tickets. So you get your digital ticket. So in theory, that's fine.
But you've got to print it all in case it all goes down.
You've got to print it just in case you can't get access to your phone or for some reason it goes down. So you have to have a printed copy with you.
But you've got to print it, not them now.
Yeah, so the green credentials of the company, they're green as hell because they haven't got to print that stuff out and post it. You've got to do it. So it's basically offsetting the greenness to somebody else's problem. And it's kicking the can all the time.
Even like the supermarket, isn't it? They don't have to pay for the staff because you're scanning your own stuff on self-services.
Yeah, that's true. David Underhill says, the paperless office only when we have the paperless toilet. We might need to go to Japan for that. They've got them. At least I think they have. Rick H says, I have an Intel i7 12700K. That should last me for another 8 to 10 years. That's true, yeah. If you, like, realistically with PCs, if you're happy with the gameplay, or if the things that you run work fine, then you don't need to upgrade. And it is bizarre. And this is something which I'm going to be continuing through this year. At least I'm going to do my best to. I am trying to definitely shun the high-end stuff. I was and ahhing about whether or not to go in for the new AMD graphics card, but I don't think I'm going to bother. Because it looks like it's going to be another power-hungry monstrosity. It looks to be a rebadge of the 6950 XT with its 3 8-pin connectors, which looks absolutely nuts. So, yeah, I think I've had it. I think I'm going to set myself a limit of around about £400 for a graphics card. And if it costs more than that, unless it makes me the tea or breakfast in the morning, I'm not having it. I'm not going to be reviewing it. And if I get offered to be sent one, I'm probably going to refuse it. Purely because of the fact that I think that, even though that's my own kind of moral compass swinging around, I don't think it's good to be advertising this nonsense. It really isn't. Like, you don't need a 4080 or a 4090 or a 5080 or a 5090. You don't need it. Yes, it's nice to have if you've got the spare income to do it and you don't mind burning through a few bloody tons of fuel to power the bloody thing, then that's fine, you do it, it's your conscience. But I don't think it makes any sense for anybody. But we seem to be keep on getting drawn down to this stuff to spend more and more money. And unless people start making a bit of a stand about it and voting with their wallets and their brains and saying, like, this is nuts, so why are we still buying it? So let's not buy it. Let's stop buying it. Let's stop being materialistic and let's just enjoy our computers and cobble stuff together if we need to. Not having to sell a kidney when we need a graphics card, because the more we do it, it will just continue and continue and continue until buying a gaming PC is going to be only for the rich, and basically, yeah, that's the way it's going to be.
David Underhill says, new games and versions of the C64 computers, games, and the same with films, isn't it? It's all just the same stuff rehashed again and again and again. But you need all this top stuff to play Commodore 64 games.
Aletta said there about electric cars going to save the world. Yeah, that's
our local co-op.
Our local co-op has got electric car charging station, but they haven't connected it to the electricity grid. So they have a diesel generator charging the batteries in the charging station to charge up other batteries. So you're getting you're buying the fuel. Obviously there's a loss in efficiency buying the fuel, because whenever you burn fuel it's not 100% efficient. There's byproducts. Then you're charging a battery, like a massive leisure battery the size of a trailer, which there's going to be charging efficiencies lost there in heat and whatever. And then that is then being used to charge a car, which is also losing efficiency. So you're probably starting off with like 100% efficiency. By the time it actually gets to charge in the car, it's probably around about 50% efficiency at best. It's just... If it was solar charging, fine. Because the sun's shining... Well, the sun ain't shining, but...
We haven't had the sun for nearly 2 years.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It absolutely makes me piss seeing an electric car charging point with a diesel generator attached to it. It's just bizarre.
And then Cool Cat recycling schemes.
Oh, don't get started on recycling schemes.
Why don't they use AI for recycling?
Yeah. Plug up one of them robots with AI and get him to sort my rubbish out. Ain't no one got time for that.
And they all just, you sort it all and they just chuck it in the same compartment of the lorry anyway.
Yeah.
So it's all mixed up again.
Ashley Strachan says there isn't a single game that I've seen that needs a 4090, let alone a 5090. AAA games are rare. Are dying like live service, too expensive, a risk for big companies. Astrobot Game of the Year, hardly techie. Yeah, definitely. I would say that the majority of games that I play now are still not AAA games. Fortnite, which is what, 10 years old now, if not more. CS2, which is obviously a lot older, technically, because it's been around for ages. Rocket League, even older. I don't play many AAA games. Like, when Far Cry comes out, I might have a stab at that. But other than that, I'm not really interested in many games, to be honest with you. They don't look particularly interesting, or they're just the same crap rehashed. Or they're super slow because they need ridiculous graphics card because they've been so badly coded. Or they're trying to cram so much into it that it's just not an enjoyable experience for a lot of users. I guess that's why it's called a AAA title. Right, okay, I think I've rabbited on for way too long. I just realised the time actually. I've got to go to work tomorrow morning. That's not going to be good. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed some of my ranting. Hopefully you enjoyed the look at the Antec C3. Again, massive shout out to Colin for sending it. Much appreciated. Any of the negative points obviously are in no way, shape or form aimed towards Colin. He bought it because we asked him to, or he offered to when we were talking about it. So
He asked what you want.
He asked us what we want because Antec wouldn't send it. So he offered to do some Antec cases for us. So we started with the C3 and potentially we'll go through some other models, although I'm somewhat hesitant about that now based on the quality of the C3 and the potential downsides. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. I should also say thank you to everyone else who's contributed and donated, and in terms of both financially and also in your mind, with your brain and your fingers typing in the words that I am struggling to get out of my mouth right now. You can tell it's been a long day. My brain is completely frazzled. Anyway, much appreciated. Thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully you have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Don't forget, obviously, as usual, if you want to help support the channel, premiumcdkeys.com for your license keys. We've also got our Discord, which you're more than welcome to join if you want any tech support or just hang out with other reasonably like-minded nutcases. And of course, if you want to pick up a desk pad of your own choice or Mike's Unboxing one, you can do so from technicallystable.com/Mike's Unboxing. But I think that's going to wrap things up. What's that?
Let's get ready to wave.
Oh, Kath was waving. Yeah, I think that's... Brain is completely gone. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video, which will be on Monday. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend. And don't forget, join us on the Discord if you wish to. All the best. Have a great one. See you later.